Time again for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show here across your view screen as ever. Rumble X, YouTube and Facebook there, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans and companions just like you. And we're still locked in one specific time and place. Well, sort of. There's a little bit of wiggle room here and there because Doctor Who is very much in the air, isn't it? Everybody's talking about it, but nobody really knows where it is or what's going on. Well, almost nobody. Stay tuned. Lots of that more to get into. Yes, The Sun and all of the mainstream have been all over this a couple of weeks after our report. So we're giving you our report on their reports of our report and lots more besides. Will it all be a fair fight? As fair as we can manage. But there's lots coming up here on your Big Who. It's 540 Live. Yes, still 30th anniversary week, of course, of the much-loved, well, it is loved now, TV movie starring Paul McGann, Eric Roberts, Sylvester McCoy, Yi So, and Daphne Ashbrook. So we'll be taking more comments about all of that. We'll be catching one another up on where we are with that fabulous new release. And we'll get the inside word about which are the best of the special features to make for when you sit down in your sofa somewhere nice and comfortable and hit play. Somewhere like this. Yes, oh, maybe not, actually. The cloister room looks decidedly unwelcoming, doesn't it? But it could be worse. It could be worse. Let's see what we can do with a few scatters, I don't know, some throws. You know how it is here. Nothing too heavy, come to think of it, because it's still a heat wave here in Britain. It does feel like Inferno, the John Pertwee classic from 56 years ago. So we've got a virtual fireplace on the go as well. You can chime in too, of course, take your mind off the heat by joining us with your comments there in the live chat, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, about everything we've got coming up and where you're at with Doctor Who. Have you been watching Doctor Who to take your mind off the heat if you're in Britain, or is everybody overseas just sick of us moaning about it and wish that we would all disappear into the eye of harmony and get a bit of get centered, I suppose, in the way that Eric Roberts did at the end of that? I don't know. Okay, so where are we and what's going on? Who first? Yes, I've got a panel, as always, of good eggs and bad wolves to exchange views with. Rants and raves on this edition of the show, as ever. Who is ready first? Let's see how David Milling is measuring up to another couple of days of the heatwave.
Oh, hello. I've got 3 drinks on the go. Hello, everybody. Hello, good evening.
There we go.
Hello. I have
so
this.
We're going to start to... don't drink that.
Shall I unbox it live just to be?
If you wish.
Just to make.
Would you? Hang on a minute. I'll give you one of these. Wait a minute. Thank you.
There you go.
Hey, there she blows.
There you go. I thought I'd save it for the unveiling, but yeah.
Your face has just lit up, David. It's not just the heat.
It's glorious, isn't it? It's beautiful.
If you like that sort of thing.
Yes, it is. That's like a confession.
Yes, runners are suffering. We have to be out either very, very early in the morning or very, very late at night to stay out of the blistering heat.
Tell me about it. I went for I don't go running because I can't. Because I physically can't. I've had a back operation and I'm on medication for a defective heart pump thingy on the left side, which COVID did to me. So that's that. So I have to. The fastest I can do is a sort of like the constipated walkers in the Olympics. So just like, just like that they've shat themselves and they're having to walk home quite awkwardly. So that's what I do. But it's been so warm the last few days. I had to go out last night at something ridiculously like 7:45 in the evening. And it was still like 22 degrees. And I was going, oh, come on.
It was still rather close. I mean, I was going to say then, as long as you're still up to the horizontal jogging. But then again, even that in this heat can be somewhat of a challenge. It's good to have you back, David, anyway. We've got a lot to get stuck into. You'll be happy to learn and more people to bring on for another innings, not least of all, Charlotte Shields.
everybody. David, you not got the fun of having a black Labrador and trying to time when to take her out.
Oh my
because of the
God, they're
heat.
crazy, aren't they? They're crazy.
yes.
My friend Richard has a 3-year-old black Labrador, Barney, and he is absolutely crazy.
Well,
and he doesn't understand that the pavements are too hot.
Well, she does, but you take her out, she still wants her to go with her normal length. And my dog now is 13 in dog years. So
Oh, no.
it's been a fun week with her. Like every time I moan, I can just look at her and go, yeah, but you've got the rougher end of this, love, haven't you, this week, really?
Yeah, with the coats and
dear.
Yes.
I thought we'd go for the cloister room, Charlotte, given the fact we're in the console room the other night, and I thought, well, at least it's cooler in here. There's not so much sort of natural light and candlelight, I should say, to take the temperature up too much, and it does look rather dank. There's plenty of shadows that can all sort of escape into and call out to one another from across the room. Can't we, as we get into another edition of the show? I mean, what do you make of the cloister room here? Because a lot of the action in that Doctor Who TV movie takes place in this, doesn't it?
Yeah, because the cloister room is always a mystery to me a bit in Who in general. It's like they forget about it for a bit, that it exists.
Yeah.
And then all at once they're like, oh, we've got a really tense situation. Let's put it in the cloister room.
Ring that bell.
Like intermittent thing in the TARDIS. That's what makes me giggle every time
Yeah.
it's brought up.
I've often wondered why the bell didn't ring before they invented the cloister room. So it's sort of like all the tragedies that the TARDIS has been involved in, and it didn't ring before.
Well,
was it not functioning?
Well,
he hadn't put the AAAs in.
Yeah, what also makes me laugh is it's like we either get the room or they just give us the sound. Like that's the limit.
A lot of people picture the cloister bell as literally a great big bell. I see it more like a ceiling bird, like a smoke alarm in the average house, little plastic thing. You just got to change the AAAs in every now and again.
Or just whack a bit of a magazine.
Like a lot of people, the doctor couldn't be asked. What we do when we're in a state of emergency, of course, and we're never sure when calamity is going to strike, is we reach for our friend from across the Atlantic to bring sense and harmony to all. It's Mr. Gary Akers.
Yes, hi everybody. Actually, Dan, calamity struck about 2 hours ago, so we're all done for. I just wanted to be the first to let you know.
Oh, okay. Well, it seems as we're in this thing, maybe we can all turn back time a little
so,
in the cloister room, Gary, and open up that Eye of Harmony thing. I'm not really sure what it does, but it seems to do whatever it needs to at any moment in the script in this. So just hope for the best. Give that handle a yank, and everything should turn out okay.
I mean, I do like the fact that the cloister room, kind of like in Legopolis, is like the one area where there's kind of like organic things growing. Like in Legopolis, there were vines and all the entropy was getting in here. There's leaves from something all over the place on the ground there and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I remember that picture you showed. I don't know if it was last Thursday or the Thursday before that, of the tree growing in the console room. This is the room in the TARDIS where you're most likely to see like a big tree growing, because this is the one room that feels that kind of organic stuff kind of works in this kind of dank environment.
So it may not be a recreation of it in any way, but it still does have that kind of organic feel. I think stone tends to do that anyway. But it also reminds me of the Tomb of Rassilon in the Five Doctors, David.
Indeed, I love that. I love the gloom and the menace that it brings, because it sort of adds that atmospherical sort of sense of doom and dankness. But I think the Tomb of Rassilon, sadly, like with most 80s Doctor Who, suffered because it was so overlit, and it would have been. I imagine the Tomb of Rassilon actually to be a bit like this if it had been lit properly. So yeah, I love the similarities. And Gary, forgive me, in honor of you, I decided to get a baseball cap the other day.
Oh, very good.
From Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club. So
okay, well, we'll start a trend, David.
I just thought I'd wear it, seeing as it's the same similar sort of green to you today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
You know,
yeah,
I do
so
want to
there
say
you go.
one more thing, Dan, that you mentioned that it's the weather over there is so hot it reminds you of Inferno. So I thought, well, I look forward to Dan turning into a primord slowly over the course of today's show. So that will be very by the time that we end, he'll be fully face hair and all that
I
kind
do
of
need a
stuff.
haircut, and I did have to have a shave before I came on because it was getting there. Everybody, it definitely was getting there. Yes, so the Eye of Harmony may be open. We've got a quick look here at what how they put this together. This is the cloister room. This was the original model here. So they had a lot of ambitions for this, for it being a split level sort of multi-walled set. I suppose in the same way that the one for the console room was. It had this sort of sense of depth and perspective about it. But I do love seeing these models and floor plans and all the rest of it, Charlotte. It's I mean, it kind of makes up for the fact that we didn't get it on screen for very long.
Well, we've always said, like, because it's the movie and it clearly had the bigger budget and more going into it. They must have created lots of things like this, I would think. Just as like in case it got to series sort of thing. And it would have been, imagine just walking around like the props department, in essence.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been such like just a variety of stuff. Like big things, little things, just everything in between.
It's so exciting. I can practically smell the glue coming off this model. I used to have to assemble models as well for various campaigns that I've worked on over the years. Those bulldog paper clips and things like that. And yeah, it would be. I mean, you wouldn't want to be around that when it was being put together, put it out to dry, or you'd be as high as a kite. But there we are. That's the original cloister room there from the TV movie, but this is how it looked on screen, of course. And it's probably not as big. It looks huge on screen, which I suppose that's the job of Jeffrey Sachs, to make it look far more epic than it does and to get as much use out of those various levels as he does. And I think he pulls that off very, very well. Because I think it's probably not as big as we think it is, but that's the magic of television, I suppose, Gary.
Well, I mean, it is great. I love the multi-levels, like where like the doctor like running up and down the stairs, and they're at two different ends, the doctor and the master and everything. And that does give it a sense of scale as well. For that model you were showing, I love reading, I have a couple books about, as we all do, about that came out around the time of the TV movie. I love those. I love the behind the scenes designs for the preliminary designs for the TV movie, because all those designers weren't constrained by anything.
No.
They weren't constrained by keeping to the old layout of the TARDIS. They didn't have a bottomless pit of money, but still they could just let their imaginations go wild in terms of coming up with great stuff that they would see around the TARDIS. And that's why I like those books and the designs and stuff that show all the preliminary planning for this TV movie are just fascinating.
I noticed that just like the tomb in the Five Doctors, on those columns, David, that the doctors are all reading and deciphering, some glyphs that are very, very similar to the old High Gallifreyan are actually on those two areas either side of the raised section in this picture. I'm certain those hieroglyphics would match.
You see, attention to detail, that's absolutely fantastic. And I've always been in awe of model makers, because those plans you were showing as well, it's almost like the architecture behind it. It's just, and the precision is just so amazing and immaculate. And there's me trying to build a Lego, well, in everything but name, model of Lord's Cricket Ground, but even that, the fact that people can just sort of have the vision and able to say, well, that piece goes there and this piece goes there.
Yeah.
I mean, the creativity behind it just staggers me beyond all belief, and just the skill it must take. It's amazing. Sorry, Charlotte.
No, it's all right. Just to add to what you're saying, I love it when you can see actual drawings, like sketch drawings that you can tell somebody has sat down and done, versus like the computer stuff looks impressive now. But I think there's just a romance and there's just something more personal about seeing proper sketch work.
Yep.
Like you had in that picture.
It's like I think the best models are the ones that you can't tell are models, if you know what I mean. For
Oh, that's
example,
true.
for years, I had no idea that the circus tent in the Greatest Show in the Galaxy was actually a model. For years, I had no idea because I thought it looked so realistic and it was shot so brilliantly that, you know, it's just the sort of curtain that the Seventh Doctor walks out when it nearly blows them sky high, you know, but that's the only bit that existed. But the rest of it, I had no idea was a model. And that's the beautiful things about model, to back up what Charlotte says over CG, is that because it exists physically, it just makes it look all that more real, if you know what I mean. And it's amazing. I love them. I think it's a wonderful art.
The craftsmanship that went into this just one-off TV movie is admirable. I think it's something we should all be proud of. The fact that the people involved, obviously they got paid, but the fact that the people involved, whether it was going to go to a series or not, still brought their A game for Doctor Who the movie. And so we've got something that all these decades later we can still treasure and anticipate whenever a fresh passage comes along, as it has this week. So it was released on Tuesday, the 26th of May, even though it was in the shops already the day before. This brand new edition, the Steelbook, the 4K, and the Blu-ray of Doctor Who the movie. Have you got yours yet? I think we all have. Oh no, Gary's is somewhere over the Atlantic, isn't it? Or is it still bouncing around Britain? I don't know. I can't quite remember. But
it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming before midnight tonight, maybe. Before this planet gets turned inside out. You never know. You never know. But we've been reliving 1996 and the excitement of Doctor Who the movie, premiering all over the world. Yeah, not at the same time. We didn't get that, but it was near enough. You know, we still got to share it together, to share the anticipation and the staggered levels of disappointment there from New Year's Eve 1999, which was in the future. Back then, believe it or not, but now well and truly in the past. Old grudges are also in the past, it would seem. Here's the cast of Doctor Who the movie, or most of them, the predominant cast, I suppose, the main cast at a recent Doctor Who convention appearance. There's Grace, all cuddled up to the Master after all, like nothing ever happened. But of course, here they were back in the day, baring their teeth, look very, very serious, and all those cheekbones. We're going back there for more of that in a little while, and we want more from you about your experience picking up that 4K or Blu-ray. Maybe you've double dipped again. Maybe you've picked up both. So let us know what you've noticed. What are your favorite aspects of it? Any questions you may have, and which memories has it stirred? Seeing the TARDIS, this beautiful TARDIS, the cloister room and the console room, both in 4K for the very first time. Extraordinary stuff. Everybody was talking about Doctor Who at the start of this week for a nice reason. It didn't necessarily stay that way, did it? We're going to come to that later on as well. Okay, let's take a look in the live chat and see what people have got to say so far about all of this nonsense. Yeah.
Go on then.
You're watching Type 40.
Sorry.
Got some proper jokers here in the live chat. A warm welcome to you all, says Gallifrey Angel there. That's Cheryl. Same to you, Cheryl. Hope you're keeping cool. Hello, says Lance Uppercuts. More rumour, speculation, and counter-speculation. Then the World Made-Up Speculation Championships. Lance, you sound somewhat cynical. Look, you've come to the right place if you want the truth, the actual hardcore truth. Everything that we've brought you in our original reports still stands up. You know, we are the source of all of that. And you'll never get anything florid, pulled in from the margins here. You know, we're aware that there's a lot of media coverage about this right now, but we do try and stick with the information as we received it and to bring it to you in a digestible way with as little editorializing from us along the way. And then we can join in with you, sort of make the best of it all together and see if we can make any sense of it. That's how it works. That's the responsible way to report this stuff. Hello, everyone, says John Middleton. Hello, John. Good to see you, mate. Nicholas Horton's back with a big and hearty hail. Stephen Braddock says all the news Type 40 broke first is now being copied. I should be on a commission. It's travelling. We're going to come to it in a little while. Yep. I promise you we're going to talk about it. Stephen O'Neill is in sun-kissed Wigan, having a blast, I hope. And yes, Stephen Braddock is in a very muggy Kent. So he says there, muggy
Indeed.
Kent. Any relation to Clark? Kent.
Yeah.
Let us know. Afternoon, says Farsight. He must have been in early. We've got to hail everyone. Another hail, this time from Lord Thoth, and a hey from the Zero Room. Hey. Someone's
with the monkeys.
Someone's feeling quite strong.
Yeah, I know.
I like it. Rose has joined us again. Hello, folks. Good morning, afternoon, and evening chat. Hello, blessings, and greetings to all species in the universe. This is what I love about Rose. She never leaves anybody out.
No.
Yeah, she's very inclusive. Is our Rose, and that's why we love her.
She ignores all the multiverse, but we'll let that go.
You got to discriminate somewhere. AFJK says, does anyone remember King Street Jr. from the early 80s on Radio 4? I discovered an episode on YouTube featuring Peter Davison as an NQT. He was in the first two series. Yes, I used to listen to that show.
I've never heard of it. I do remember Detective with Ray Brooks. Detective, which was one that I recommend you look up.
What's NQT?
I think it's
qualified teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Fabulous stuff. Farsight has also heard there's more Reddit rumors, not more rumors on top of rumors.
There's always Reddit rumors.
There's always Reddit rumors.
This and that and the other. You know my position on it. I think some of it is fun. I think a great deal of it is harmless if you keep it in check. But we tend to stay away from leaks and things like that if we can. And now and again, when we do bring you a report of some kind, it will be robust. It will be vigorously verified. And as I said before, presented in a clear, concise way with nothing brought in from any opinions anywhere, just that hard information in a digestible way. That's how I feel. That serves you the very, very best, so you can make your mind up too, which is all that any of us can ever really do in this side of the fandom.
Yeah.
What else have we got? No beef, no bullshit, says Stephen Braddock. Love the promo, says Lord Thoth. We've got lots of people piling in. Tom from T Dwarf Productions is in too. Good to see you, Tom. And
go to if find T Dwarf Productions on Facebook, because Tom dropped his super cool Moonbase Cyberman there a couple of days ago, which is like a thing of beauty.
Oh, wonderful!
So you gotta go. It's so good. You got to go find that.
David Mullen says, this is the film where I first asked, how old is the TARDIS? No one has ever asked this, or why the Doctor chose that TARDIS. Is it special? When we saw in the name of the Doctor, didn't we? He just sort of got bundled into it, didn't he? But I know what you mean. That's the questions I used to think about in the TARDIS show.
In New Who, it's really heavily hinted that the TARDIS sort of chose the Doctor. That's the New Who sort of explanation.
I think in the original story, it was very much sort of like the Doctor was desperate to escape, so he just sort of went to the repair shop and nicked it, or borrowed it. Sorry, and because the Deadly Assassin, it was referred to as being obsolete. So obviously,
I generally don't respond well, David, to those stories about everything in the Doctor's life or the companions' lives, come to think of it, being kind of predetermined, some sort of inevitability. I don't think I think it works fine in some franchises, but I don't think it's very Doctor Who. I don't think it's very British. I think that people sort of generally bumbling into things and happenstance and coincidence. Or just making the best of a bad situation, whereby, this is the best I've got at the time, so I'm going to have it away on my toes. To me, that's more what Doctor Who is about. And I think that's
very much.
I think it's one thing to reach and touch the romantic side to the character and to the actual story. But I think you should resist going that deep with it. I think it should have that kind of balls of your feet, and whatever will be kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
That's what I like. Darren Bradley mentions the model here, the model of the cloister room, and it reminds him of his cartography days, building proposed buildings and new housing estates. Yeah, that's it. I mean, this is where that sort of lines up. This skill set, being able to cut polystyrene and tiny bits of card and join them together, I say, with different kinds of glue, different bonding agents, and to not end up on the ceiling yourself after you've done the job. So always happy to stir memories for anyone there in the live chat. Thank you, Darren. Thank you. We've got more comments. More people piling in. Thank you so much, everybody. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going back to 96 a little later on. Don't you worry about that. Yes, Tom's Cybermen is fantastic. So Stephen O'Neill says, given the TARDIS is a living, grown machine from Gallifrey, a civilization that has existed for billions of years, its organic components could theoretically be millions or billions of years old. Yeah, and that's the kind of thing I like, left shrouded in imagination, Charlotte, myself.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, because Moffat was at times very guilty of trying to explain away the mythology.
Yeah.
So I think with the TARDIS, he just about got away with it. He didn't quite spell it all out, but like I said, the implication was that the TARDIS basically unlocked itself or made itself very open for the Doctor to wander in.
Right.
So
I mean,
I get what you mean. He was very close to going too far.
It wasn't until we got to Logopolis that any organic sort of things were actually seen in the TARDIS, like with the trees and the ivy and of the cloister room.
So
very much when it began, it was a machine. Very much a machine. It was the ship. It was a series of instruments. Hence, they had the fault locator, but what they didn't actually ever describe, going to back what Stephen was saying, is what was the power source. They always sort of indicated that the power source was something sort of mysterious that almost had a sort of intelligence. Like we saw in the Edge of Destruction. So it was never really described as organic. No,
it's never too late to plug in an extra mysterious intellectual source of energy, I think, and you could open the Eye of Harmony by all means, but I think it's a lot easier just to bring on Luke Walters. That would be what I do.
I knew you were going to do that.
Hello, Luke.
That was hell of a segue, that, wasn't it? Jeez, go on.
Have we torn you away from your 4K and Blu-ray Steelbook set, mate? Is that what's been going on with you?
Yeah, I've just been watching the making of documentary. That's exactly where I've been, and not judging a film festival that was supposed to take an hour long, but took 2 hours. So that's great. Yeah. So how's everyone's week? Apart from you, Gary.
Eventful, ups and downs. How's yours?
I'm ill. I'm bad. I'm going away for my birthday tomorrow, and I'm bunged up with hantavirus or something. Probably, I don't know. Hello, everyone. I don't know. Probably something.
My little Luke doll worked. I've been putting pins in it all week.
He has, He sent me a picture. He did. It was a big pin.
If we get more worrying, he has a doll about me.
We'll take some swabs, pop them in the post to us. We'll send them to Dr. Grace here, and she'll see if she can try and work out what's wrong with the lad. And we'll maybe we'll have an answer for you by your next birthday. It's going to take a long while to get those results back from the 90s, but we'll do our best. We'll leave it to these two chancellors. I'm sure they can manage it between them. So you've got your box set, Luke. You're enjoying it. You've opened it. Have you watched it all yet, or are you cherry picking?
I've just watched the movie, and I started a documentary when I was doing a bit of cardio. The UK version I watched, the 4K. It's beautiful. It's everything just looks so nice. The sets look, the TARDIS especially, just the color pops and everything just looks so. It's just, that's what we were robbed of. Filmic. It's just beautiful. And Eric Roberts I forgot how hammy and great Eric Roberts is. I absolutely adore Eric Roberts, bless him. Absolutely adorable.
Fabulous. He doesn't quite steal the show, but he gives it a bloody good go, doesn't he? It's amazing that any of the rest of the cast are still talking to him, but they are. And not only are they still talking, but they are out supporting and representing Doctor Who Podcast Day, everybody. Sending some love back in our direction ahead of 2026's Doctor Who Podcast Day. That's coming up, as always, on the 9th of August this year. And there's Gigi So, Sylvester McCoy, Daphne Ashbrook, and Paul McGann himself, happily representing us there on screen. So yes, our thanks to the cast of Doctor Who the movie for showing up for that. Lots more on the way concerning the past of Doctor Who, the 90s take on Doctor Who later on in the show, of course, and we'll be looking to the present. Is there a present? God, I don't know. Maybe there will be a present or presents of some kind come Christmas, even if we don't get them from Bad Wolf or the BBC.
The Cyber King approaches. Your lives are in peril. The only way to save yourselves? Watch Type 40.
Ooh.
She looks like my old English teacher.
Fair enough.
Quite
And she would you know you'd be in the shit.
Yeah, quite a fearsome lady, actually.
Speaking of, so we're looking ahead, of course. I mean, the millennium may be in the past. I don't want to break that to anybody. It's like we said, we still think the Second World War's still going on, the Vietnam War. Yes, the millennium is long in the past. I do have some sort of calendars and diaries and things from the era of the TV movie. In fact, I've got a lot of that old junk from my entire fandom kicking around. Some of it's written in and used, some of it isn't. I haven't bought any of these for a while, but I thought we'd take a quick look at it because it's just been revealed. This is the Doctor Who calendar for 2027 already, everybody.
What?
It's just, I know. It's scary, isn't it, Luke? 2027 talk already, but here it is. This is the calendar, the annual calendar published by Danilo. It's $10.99 from their website right now, everybody. So there's lots of different editions too, of course, from Danilo, but this is their standard classic square-shaped calendar celebrating the legacy of this iconic series, it says in the blurb, featuring all 17 Doctors in a striking collection of images from across the years with a practical monthly layout and space for your notes. It's you can put Luke's birthday in so we don't forget next year. It's perfect for staying organized while exploring the evolution of the Time Lord, a must-have for fans, bringing together every incarnation in one timeless collection. So they're trying. They're trying with this.
I think they
Anybody still buy
literally
this?
just managed to get those pictures on. Look how small.
Yeah.
They're like, we have to have everybody.
Yeah, do they toss a coin to figure out who's going to double up with who? Because I think that Paul and John Hurt doubled up last time. They ought to. There's Jodie and Joe Martin too. So
Well, I mean, if we can give Hartnell and Troughton and Colin Baker and Sylvester and
Yes.
McGann and John Hurt, split those out and and have that be the new October through December, then I'd buy this calendar.
I noticed that David Tennant gets 2 pages all of his own. You'd think they'd put the 10th and the 14th together, Charlotte, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it's Tennant, so maybe they were like, no, we have to do the Tennant thing of praising him. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't bought any of these in a long time. I mean, they're getting much of a muchness, really. I think some more imagination could be long overdue with these. I know they're in a spot of official license holders on this stuff, but even this cover, I mean, they can't keep going with this sort of reheated old artwork. I wouldn't have thought for very much longer. I assumed this was a placeholder cover, but apparently this is the genuine cover of what we're going to get, potentially what we're going to see in the aisles in the shopping precincts and things like that, alongside those diaries and things. Luke, do you buy any of these, any of the yearly kind of gift items for either one of your hooligan friends or pop it on the list for the other half?
Not particularly, but I get bought a lot. So I got this for this. I'm destroying my screen, man. So I got this. I think I showed it before. The friend or foe, the calendar for this year. So what's the date of it? I should know this. It's May 28th.
May the 28th.
Right. Okay. Oh my God, I haven't touched this since April, since February. Right. Give me half an hour.
You
So-
use it a lot then.
Yeah, very
It's obviously
clearly.
an item to be treasured. There, an item to be treasured.
So today, oh shit. So today is Mr. Ring-a-Ding. There you go.
Oh,
Today is Mr.
hurrah.
Ring-a-Ding. Tomorrow we have Morris Gibbons, and on my birthday I have Paul McGann. Hey, go on.
Wait, is your
There you go.
Luke? When is your birthday?
Saturday.
Oh, you know what? This is not to steal any thunder. So is mine.
Yeah, no, we have the same birthday. Yeah,
We do.
Wow.
yeah, we do.
Happy
We worked that
birthday.
out.
Oh,
I think
so
we're going to
well.
reveal that we were actually
Could be
twins now.
twins.
You're my dad.
Brother! I've been looking
Yeah.
for it now.
This is such the opportunity to go, Luke. I am your father, and you didn't take
This-
it. Oh, man.
This is a type 40 version of that famous Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger film Twins.
Yeah. Oh, thanks
with
for
Gary
thanks
and
for,
Luke.
Thanks for thanks
You
for
can make up your
comparing
mind
Arnold-
who is who.
Thanks for comparing me to Arnold Schwarzenegger, David. That's great. I appreciate it.
Any takers? Are there any takers for the 2027 calendar in the live chat? You can scribble down Gary and Luke's birthdays there. Yes, we like Doctor Who. Less is more when it's a mystery, says Stephen Braddock. I think he's talking about the TARDIS again there. Hello, we've got a hello from Randy Howells. We know what they call you, Randy, right? Russell T. Davies has appeared, according to
Oh,
Nicholas.
that's original, isn't it? Jeez, go on.
Has
He hasn't.
appeared. Oh, I see. Gotcha. Oh, come on, Nicholas, try harder. Groans, says Peter Harrington. I don't think he's very impressed by the calendar. And that's you. Cinescope's in. Hello, all. Thanking you very kindly. There we are. We've got some time traveling from the chat to the panel there. We've got
Dan, if I may, can I
in
just
the live
say
chat
that,
as well.
Oh, sorry. Dan, can I just say what Nicholas was referring to was the fact that some people on various Facebook sites have been publishing a Doctor Who.tv article from the 1st of May, where
Yeah.
Russell says, wouldn't it be lovely to see the special Unspoiled? But they're
Yes.
presenting it as new information when it's been out for the best part of a month.
Yeah.
So if
We talked
anybody's
about that,
seen
didn't we?
it, we did. If anybody's seen it, it refers to the Doctor Who magazine article that we were talked about at the start of the month. So don't get confused.
Back in circulation. They need, you know what they need to keep track of all this stuff? They need their own Doctor Who calendar. I think we should send one of those over to whoever's published, republished and reoffered that item. It could be a bot, come to think of it, but we should send them one anyway. So you get a 30-day money-back guarantee on the calendar now. Why, I'm not entirely sure. And they also... And Dan and I also say that if you go over there and if you place an order, if you buy a couple of these or buy a calendar and a diary, anything from their sort of Doctor Who range, you spend over £12.99 and they plant a tree in your honour. There, that's a new option there.
Nice.
I've never heard of that before, but I'm not going to knock it. More trees, got to be a good thing, Luke. I want more trees.
Yeah, why not?
I like that.
The Forest of Cheam. Let's get them back. What are they doing these days?
Bring them all back. Bring them all back. So that's the Doctor Who calendar for 2027. Incredibly, it's available now. This is at danilo.com or amazon.co.uk. If you do pick up one of these regularly, or if you know you're going to get it at Christmas, let us know. What do you scribble down in there? Do you just keep it for Doctor Who dates? For various anniversaries? God knows there's enough of them. Or do you leave it pristine and unseen to keep in your collection, because that is exactly the kind of thing that I do a great deal of the time. I've got to be honest.
Are you going to get one of these, Dan? Are you going to buy one of those calendars? Because I honestly can't see you having a picture of Jodie Whittaker up on your wall for a month. I just can't visualize.
No.
If it refers to the dream he had the other night, he'd be probably
Well, that's a whole other show.
Bring that up. It was so disturbing. It was so, because whilst it was all happening, and I mean everything was all happening, she kept calling me Chuck. And it was really,
Did you hear
freaked
about?
me out.
He had a Jodie Whittaker dream the other night.
I know.
What?
I know. An erotic dream about Jodie Whittaker. Where that? I put myself. Anyway, let's move on. If you'd like to relive, I don't want to relive that.
You will never, nowhere on YouTube, anywhere will you ever hear uttered the phrase erotic dream about Jodie Whittaker, except for here on Type 40.
She was wearing nothing but a pair of those dungarees. Anyway, so if you'd like to catch up and relive some of our previous conversations there on the live stream, more shocking revelations like that, along with our regular news reports, our deep dives into the rolling news of the day, and we've got special focused episodes on stories, seasons, actors, doctors, producers, directors, you name it. It's all there in the playlists for you to dive headfirst into. God. There's the Type 40 podcast too across all major podcatchers. So whatever you use, whether it's Audible or Apple or Amazon or Spotify, we're all over the place. And at our home feed at type40.podbean.com, including my long form conversation there with Ed Stradling, key figure, huge innovator in the realm of Doctor Who special features there on home media 20 years ago, and still a contributor to this day. Ed was candid, Ed was entertaining in his discussion with me, and we talked a lot too about future potential projects. So there's an enhanced edition of that here on the YouTube and Rumble channels too, as well as the regular Type 40 podcast there across all major podcatchers. Knock yourselves out. That's exactly what Jodie Whittaker said to me in that. This is Type 40 Live, Rumble X, YouTube, and Facebook. Keeping it clean as we can. But for now, at least, there's a lot more to talk about. You keep the comments coming. We'll see where we end up, and we'll cleanse my mind of that serious ordeal.
I don't know, it's your podcast.
Just want video evidence.
Play this podcast.
What app have you got?
I don't know. I know.
This is the best conversation I've been involved in.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to send that to myself.
Yeah.
Right? So I know it's you.
You'll see us all on there.
Okay.
You might change your mind and you'll see it.
Don't say that, Sarah. You meant to be manifested.
Oh, Sarah and Shah there on the fly with Paul McGann, with the Eighth Doctor himself. We tracked him down in the end. Hiya, Paul. Yeah, so he's a subscriber. Oh, hello, Paul. Hope you're enjoying your evening, mate. Hope the heat wave is treating you well. So no one, this time last year, no one expected there was going to be a quick resolution to either the on-screen shocker of seeing Billy Piper appear again, or all of the off-screen turmoil that was happening on Doctor Who. A year ago, season 2 wrapped up. To be fair, after any failure of any kind, particularly creative failure, it's always best to stop and take stock, I personally think. And as regards a majority of people in this really hectic streaming age that we live in now, are they really going to miss one show? That broader general audience, which Doctor Who does exist to serve. Let's be honest about it. To us, though, Doctor Who isn't just any show, is it? Sooner or later, the mainstream media, well, they love to milk it to fill their column inches, their airtime, and their click quotas. It is what it is. There's nothing we can do about any of that. But this week, during the recording of the last edition of Type 40 articles, they began to appear. Articles began to appear, pointing to uncertainty on the series once again, lining up with our own exclusive reports that we brought you just a couple of weeks ago. I think we sat back, all of us, and we watched it all come together and try to see where things lined up. The general line was this, that the Doctor Who Christmas special could be exterminated, as the BBC is allegedly unable to find a new lead star. That was how Google summed it all up, that the show is in a state of flux after ending its last series in May 2025 with that sudden departure of Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. Things didn't slow down from that point either, so that sort of flurry became a storm. Article after article after report after opinion piece, some of them incredibly thorough, deeply personal, and in many respects, they were pointing in one direction, sometimes at one particular individual too. The Metro, shockingly, going in on Russell T Davies, who they used to be able, they used to let this guy get away with everything and anything, let's be honest, didn't they? So when even the Metro are calling you out on your shit, you know that you fucked up. It all stemmed from an article in The Sun. The Sun newspapers, this is a long-standing tabloid newspaper, what we call a red top, isn't it? And it didn't stop there, but this is seen as ground zero. Out of time was the headline hit. TV show's Christmas special could be scrapped because bosses can't find anyone to play that lead character. So this is the general line of it that Rod McPhee, the TV editor at The Sun, went with when rolling this out. And it was picked up by everyone, absolutely everywhere. We've all got our opinions about The Sun generally, historically, for one reason or another. But this is telly, this is Doctor Who. Tabloids and entertainment, this isn't something that they take particularly seriously. This is something that they kind of pad things out with. And I think especially when it comes to Doctor Who, they know that it'll get on our radars and we'll likely share it along. The track record of tabloids and The Sun with Doctor Who, as soon as these things come out, people say, well, who would trust The Sun? Generally speaking, I've got no comment to make on that. But when it comes to Doctor Who, the fact of the matter is, a great deal of the time, evidence would suggest that they can be on the money. So did anyone see this all roll out earlier in the week? And were you watching with as much sort of fascination, morbid fascination, as I was, Luke?
Well, we was, because we were all talking about it, Dan. So, come on. That's lead in the witness, Your Honour. Lead in the witness. The Sun's track record is very hit and miss, shall we say? But
it's no better or worse than anybody else.
Yeah, but it seems to it's just blown up massively, and we've seen every Doctor Who YouTuber under the sun put their knife and get a slice of the pie of this. To varying answers, which is quite mad. But you got to admit, there's with so much noise. And the Radio Times reaching out as well, and the BBC declining the comment. There must be silence is almost deafening at this point. Look, Russell T Davies is not allegedly doing the next run anyway, so he wouldn't be the one looking for the lead actor for the next role. So
it's curious, isn't it? They focus on that.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty redundant. If they come out and went, oh well, Billy Piper's not in the special, is going to get thrown back to Easter, then I'd be more inclined to believe it. But the fact they're like, oh well, they can't get a 16th is just a little bit like, well, we kind of potentially already have one, but her availability might not be as cushy as some of the BBC might like you to believe. So I think there's an element to truth in this somewhere, but I think they've kind of maybe missed the mark on. Oh, the 16th Doctor. It's like, well, no. It's just that your lead and then your potential lead is missing, and that's why. Yeah, it's very interesting to see that the BBC wouldn't even comment back on it. That's quite telling.
Yeah,
I think silence is definitely
more reports. I've got a couple of quotes coming later on from other places, but I thought that it was interesting that this would emanate from the Sun, when traditionally, Charlotte, it's the Mirror that tend to be most focused on Doctor Who. They've got a great hit rate. I think it's Nicola Methven is their regular reporter on Doctor Who. They've stayed completely silent about this time, which probably means that they've got nothing to add than what the Sun have offered here.
Well, I think, because I like sort of Luke said, as soon as this Sun article went out, everybody, not even just Doctor Who people, like people who were just sort of general commentators on TV or the cultural sort of commentators, they were talking about this. And it seemed to really get people sort of shocked. I think the people who haven't sort of been paying attention to the state of the show right now, because it's the idea of like the dramaticness of, oh, it's axed. That's what I saw a lot. But my feeling about this is the Sun stuff especially. I think this could be, maybe they got told a little bit of something, like Luke said, there's that element of truth. But But this is what I think the rest of it is very much educated guesswork, because if you because I think it was last year this story was running about they can't find a new actor because of the baggage and how it's seen as like a damaged role. So I think they've taken that story from last year and they've just looked at the current lay of the land with a bit of maybe a truth being whispered to them. And then they've made the story out of bits and bobs. But the thing that really the bigger thing that I noticed is I've sort of been looking at the bigger picture here. And this is what got me thinking a bit. We've had SNL last week, basically, in many ways, I think, basically call out Russell's writing, point to the weaknesses of Russell's writing with that monologue. Then you've got this story coming out that they can't get a new actor in the role. And then you had an absolute flurry of articles basically saying Russell needs to go. And that sequence of events, I've now got a funny feeling there's something else happening here beyond just this Sun piece. It feels like there's a bit of coordination here to put Russell in the crosshairs, to basically say, here's your culprit, he's the one who's going to get all the blame now. And I find that fascinating, because even during the Jodie run, Chibnall didn't get this treatment. There was no articles from my memory, and if people can correct me, I'll happily be corrected.
No, you're quite right.
There was no article saying
None.
Chibnall's mistakes, Chibnall's done this, Chibnall needs to go, but Russell's now getting this. So I feel like this is a bit of a coordinated push to get Russell to either say he's out before officially it's going to get said, or this is them like setting the groundwork for when he does leave, they've already blamed him, if that makes sense.
And again, this is something, another story that we brought you an exclusive report on last year, month ahead of the time. And I think a lot of it does make sense, and for the Metro in particular to be kind of demanding Russell's head on a stick. I can't condone rounding on one individual in particular, and I think the man is struggling. But the professionally, the situation that he finds himself in is completely of his own making. I mean, looking ahead to what the Sun actually said here in the body of it, what Rod McPhee, how he reported it, he claimed that an insider had said to him, despite reassurances that the show would be back on our screens with a new series, there's been no confirmation from execs about when that will be. I mean, we knew that anyway. People who've been paying attention knew that anyway. And they proudly announced that the Doctor would be making a comeback in this year's Christmas special. That's nothing that we didn't already know. Now, with less than 7 months to go, that looks like it's hanging in the balance too. The problem is that they have found it difficult to find anyone who will take on the part of the 16th Time Lord, partly because it now feels like a role that comes with all of the baggage of the most recent series. That's going to be undoubtedly true. To some degree, that's always been true with Doctor Who, because it is a cultural institution. You know, even David Tennant wasn't sure that he wanted to do it, but I know what he means. This kind of baggage, additional baggage, with in leopard print as well. It does in times of immense. How can I put this? Cultural tensions. It's not something that a lot of actors or the representatives are going to want to put their client in the middle of. He goes on to say, the insider says there are fears that even if they do manage to pull something together, it's going to be a poor cousin to previous Christmas specials, which have always been adored by fans. I think Always is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, David, I think. But yeah, I think we can let that drop, that they have found it difficult to find anyone to be the 16th Time Lord, partly as it's a role that has all of this baggage. I mean, the way I read this and how it's framed, I think that, you think what you like about the Sun. I've got my thoughts about them. I haven't bought the Sun for decades. But all of this and the way that information is presented and speculated upon, David, it reflects, it's not so much the body of what's being said. I think that the way that it's worded always reflects their brand, and more importantly, how they connect with the people that they view as their readership. It's the same with any other outlet. They've all got a similar way of of reaching their customers. It reads to me as, we're somebody who doesn't read a tabloid newspaper, doesn't read newspapers at all. It reads to me as very outdated and vulgar, and just as Luke said, misfocused. But that doesn't mean there's not some truth in it.
There's always some speculation when it's dealing with rumours with respect for journalism, because they will have, as Charlotte quite rightly said, they will have a little bit of nugget of a grain of truth, and then they're forced to speculate as to the reasons why. Now, speculation is an opinion, and this could be largely an opinion piece with a little bit of nugget of truth in it as well. So they've got to sort of make a steer. And for me, I want to echo I want to make a couple of points before I want to echo what Luke said with a practical situation. What I've seen across a bizarre sort of spectrum this week is that the people who want you to trust the mainstream media have said, don't trust the mainstream media because they're not naming their sources. Well, journalists never name sources. No. They never have named sources. Journalists do not do that. So just because they don't name a source doesn't mean that that their source is feeding them a load of rubbish, okay? Journalists protect sources because those individuals may be under contract, maybe if you go back to yes minister, yes prime minister, a cabinet source close to the prime minister, which means the prime minister, it's those sort of things. People do not give their source details out. So it's been really, really bizarre. The second thing is that let's look at this in a football analogy. Okay, footballers have agents. Okay, as do actors. If you've got a football team who don't know what division they're playing in from next season, for example, because they're in the relegation area, they could be relegated out of the football league, or from the or from the top division to a lower division. Okay. And the club are looking to sign somebody for a pivotal role at the football club or a manager. Well, what division are you going to be in next year? I don't know. Well, you're not really good at the moment, are you? No, it looks like we could go down. Right. Right. Do I want to? Well, there's too much uncertainty there. Do I want to join a club whereby? Oh, right. Okay. So.
It's exactly
agent,
the same,
what do you advise? Well, give it a while. Give it a while until there's some certainty, and then you know whether or not a team might be playing in Europe or might not be playing in Europe. Okay, so there's a little bit of uncertainty there. So would actually, and we go back to what Colin Baker said for his reasons for not returning for that time in the Rani. How, if I give my assurances that I can make a filming date for one day 6 months into the future, I then have to turn down a huge possibility of other work just so I can make that one day. So if there's, with the uncertainty about when a new series will be commissioned, what actor is going to sign up for something that they don't know when it's going to be? Because that will make any other work invalid for them. So that's why I can see why the Sun is saying what the Sun is saying.
I believe, David, that the Sun has misread the situation.
Yeah.
And took it and taken it to a kind of a base level. I suspect. I mean, we do have a couple of comments here in the live chat, people. I mean, thank you everybody, but. We've got Type 40 is the source, says Matthew Pounder. They've been ripping you off. This is, again, it's quite likely that the Sun have used this show as their source for this. When we mentioned that there was no David Tennant at that time, no Billy Piper at that time, no one to lead that show. How do you represent and reframe some pretty geeky talk from us, and very precise talk towards a niche audience that we cater to here at Type 40. How do you reframe that for the kind of audience that a tabloid newspaper reaches, either in print or on new media. I think you probably would say they simply can't find anybody to lead this show. They can't find their doctor. They don't know what's been commissioned and what hasn't because they're not big Doctor Who geeks the way that we are. Is Type 40 the source of this? I'm wavering on this, but I think it could be in the mix. I think it's likely, Matthew. And there are other people mentioning it in the live chat. Thank you.
And at no point did anybody, yourself who led with the information, Dan, nor anybody else on that night say that the Christmas special was going to be scrapped or moved to Easter 2027.
I never suggested
It was absolutely, at this moment in time, there is no script, there is no Billy, and there is no David Tennant. And you said quite clearly that may change in the future. Okay, so I just want to make it absolutely clear to everybody that we did not say that the Christmas special would be canned. You just gave the information with the 3 X's as they are now. So if people have interpreted that and made conclusions, that's down to them. It's not down to us.
We could have been clearer. Charlotte?
And then the week after, just to add to David's point, we talked about a possibility of it being delayed. We said there's a chance because of scheduling, because of this. It was a very open discussion. It was not a cert at all. We never.
I think what's quite telling is from the BBC. If this happened, the similar situation happened last year with Call the Midwife, when they were like, "Oh, Call the Midwife's been cancelled," blah 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 blah, and then the BBC, like 6 hours later, put out a big press release being like, "Nah, we've got like 25 series prequel, a movie, blah blah blah." Call the Midwife's going nowhere, and now they've just they've remained. All they need to do is just put a line out, be like, "No, see you at Christmas," but they haven't. But
Luke,
we do have this. We do have this, Luke. So it got picked up by the Radio Times. This is about as close as you can get to, even though they're not owned by the BBC anymore. It's owned by immediate media, isn't it? There's still that kinship. Of course, there's a special relationship, to use a phrase, between the Radio Times and the BBC. New Doctor Who special tipped to be delayed from Christmas 2026. The beloved series may be experiencing a time jump through to Easter 2027 instead. And they do say that they follow up largely on what the Sun reported, practically word for word. They credit the Sun with everything that they had gone with, including the prospect, the notion that they simply couldn't find their lead. And then offering that it could be delayed again until 2027. But at least the Radio Times were in a position, and maybe it was a case of timing, to reach out to the BBC. And they did. The BBC declined to comment when approached specifically by the Radio Times. Just as you've said, Luke, I can't remember the last time the BBC issued sort of comments by request. But usually when they decline like this, it does tend to mean that which is being directed at them, that which is being claimed, is fairly near the mark.
It's better to say nothing than say the wrong thing.
Yeah, but they had previous with time. Call the Midwife. They'd done it. Like, they literally done it. They'd done the exact same situation when they was like, "Oh, that's been cancelled," and they were like, "No, it's not. Look, we have this incredible slate."
Got this and that.
And then Doctor Who, they're just like, "Yeah, no comment." So it's quite telling. So it definitely feels like something is up.
Yeah, and I think from my memory, when some of the early Jodie rumours were swirling that she was going to leave, they did comment then and basically say, no, like, she's not leaving. So they have, in Doctor Who, I'm trying to think back to Doctor Who, like the Call the Midwife is a very good example because it's literally the same situation, just a different show. But with Doctor Who, they have basically, when rumours that have sort of been very incendiary or very negative cropped up, they have basically told the Radio Times, I think, no, it's rubbish, sort of in a very polite way. So yeah, I agree with Luke. There's definitely something to this if they're declining to comment.
about 18 months ago, there was a whole, yet again, this came from The Sun, but the Mirror were involved too. There's a whole spate of articles then about Ncuti Gatwa's future on the show. Again, we broke this story before everybody else too. The Sun published an article in mid-February, and there was a storm of interest surrounding the actor and the future of the show. But the BBC, they did step in then and said the story's incorrect. Doctor Who has not been shelved. Just this sort of similar post to the one that they put out about Call the Midwife, Luke. This is kind of reads very, very similar. It just reminded people of the state of play, where the lines that were in the sand and the vague time scale. So this is the kind of precedent that has been set with Doctor Who and Call the Midwife in the past. So we do have something there. We do have some yardstick or another to look at the kind of things that they would usually say and how they would say it. I think expecting Russell T Davies to come out and talk about this is unlikely, and not least of all because, just as Garbage says in the live chat, the only time that Russell ever talks about Doctor Who anymore is when he's pontificating on podiums at pointless awards ceremonies and talking sort of around it rather than about it. It's very strange how that has gone. The Daily Mail have got a further quote from somebody they're claiming to be their insider, who said there are fears that even if they do manage to pull something together, yes, they to repeat, it's a similar thing. There are fears that whatever they may come up with, it's simply not going to be up to the mark, Gary. But what is the mark for Doctor Who in 2026?
Well, I mean, I've been trying to keep up with all the different stories, and as you say, a lot of them are kind of, repeating each other. I've been checking some of the, who related forums, etc., and the coping is on overdrive over there. Whether it be now they're focusing on, RTD saying, wouldn't it be better, for everybody to be surprised, as that's evidence that they're not. It's all. It's all just kind of, you have to kind of laugh at it a bit. But, and as Charlotte alluded to, we had Ncuti a week ago now making jokes about how, what the show is known for is being a show that nobody watches. So the rep of the show, or at least the current iteration, is obviously not in a good place. But as I was looking at these stories, I kind of was concluding that Doctor Who is kind of in a massive feels like it's in a massive kind of catch-22 situation now, because you have the BBC probably hunting around for a production partner. But how do you secure a production partner without a showrunner to present to them, a star to present to them, a format to present to them? And yet at the same time, how do you secure an actor without any of the details that David was alluding to in order to get them first? Because I was imagining in my head, kind of similar to what David was talking about with his football analogy, that if there was a conversation between a potential star that they were courting and the BBC about, come do the show. I mean, what would they say? Like, well, okay, we don't have a showrunner, so we can't tell you what your doctor would be like, or what the tone of the stories would be, or the look of the show. Scripts, sorry, can't help you there. Budget, we don't have a production partner yet, so we can't give you anything there. We can't tell you anything about the shooting schedule, how long it'll be or when, but just keep yourself available, okay? What agent in their right mind is going to advise their client to sign up for that? So it's like, what do you get first? Do you secure the production partner first? Do you try to secure the actor first? Do you try to secure the showrunner first? Because I think now they're so interdependent on each other. It's like you need one to get the other, but then you need the other to get the one at this point. And it's like, well, okay, like, what do you do?
Gary, from my perspective, they need to, sorry, Luke, they need to get a showrunner. Okay, England cricket went through the same process in early 2022 when they lost the captain, the coach, and the director of cricket. So what they did first is they appointed the director of cricket, i.e. the head honcho, who then appointed a captain to look after the team, and then at the same time as appointing a day later appointing a coach, and then who that were then as a body were then able to, appoint a selector to select the team. So it sounds to me that until you know what direction the ship is going in, you can't sort out the ship, what sort of ship, who you're going to put on the ship, or in fact, what the ship's going to be called, okay, and what direction it's going to sail in. It needs that sort of top down. It needs the person in charge to be confirmed, so everything else can fall into place.
And everybody trying to, as we alluded at the top of the show, everybody trying to make a mountain out of the molehill of out of context molehill of Russell's comment about wouldn't it be great to be surprised?
Yeah, from DW.
Russell T Davies is now have been reduced to basically a work for hire on this special, doing the script. And at this point, I mean, I think he probably only cares about protecting his reputation and denying any responsibility for trashing the franchise. That's really kind of what he's worried about at this point.
And can we have a moment of appreciation, for Gary calling it football and not soccer? That actually made my that made my day. That, thank you, Gary. That means a lot.
We've got a comment here from David Mullen in the live chat, and he says, "So, are you saying that the BBC jumped the gun when ordering a Christmas special like this? Just what has gone so badly wrong?" I've been asked this a few times lately. Yes, they were under the gun. They had very publicly, we had got to that story before everybody else. We told you that Disney deal was done months before they announced it. Eventually, the vultures started to circle. They couldn't contain the story anymore. They tried to hold it off at the Edinburgh TV Festival, and I don't blame them. I don't blame Lindsay Salt or anybody else for the way that they handled it. And we're not entitled to know any of this. But when people are unhappy and an environment isn't a contented one, then they do talk. And sure enough, we did have lots of reports back to us here at Type 40 as to what was really going on. Once that was out there and people started to pick it up on that in the mainstream media, including Variety, they were really under the gun with this because they were coming out of a high-profile global streaming platform arrangement with no plan and this potentially hugely lucrative IP entirely in their care again. So they had to be seen to have a productive way forward to point to a North Star, if you like. Now, it's a situation again that they created for themselves. I do see how they got there, but I believe it was that pressure to say something, to say anything, to reassure people, in this age of new media where people want to know everything yesterday, that everything would be fine. And it was a gamble. Was it a gamble worth taking? I think I understand why they took the gamble, but I think it being predicated on the whims, availability, capability of Russell T Davies and his team of yes men in 2026, that was the major error of judgment, because the simple fact of the matter is that man, he's not capable of running a production like that anymore, and he certainly hasn't got the kind of vision to lead a show with a global brand and ambitions in the way that the partners have for it. Sony, who own Bad Wolf, the BBC studios themselves, and indeed any potential streaming partner that is on a par with Disney Plus. So I think it's a combination of those things, David.
I think it's the right mess. I think I referred to it on Monday. I wasn't sure if it was in the green room or here. That it seems like it's the last days in the bunker in Berlin. It's just from that sort of. I know you've all seen the sort of downfall parodies, but it does feel a little bit sort of end of a regime sort of thing, with things going wrong and nothing going right and desperation coming out and, oh my God, we can't do this because they're not free and this isn't free and I'm going to have to change this. And I'm not saying that the Russians are coming in from the East and the Allies are coming in from the West, not at all. But I'm trying to purvey that sense of desperation, that sense of calamity, that sense of our great empire is now crumbling around us. That sort of those sort of feelings. I'm not saying that is happening, but it just all seems a little bit shambolic and a little bit desperate and a little bit, well, I can imagine a phone call. And yes, I have been rewatching Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister quite a lot, as I told Charlotte earlier. but it seems like that sort of thing whereby, oh my God, Prime Minister, what do we say? Well, we can't say that this is going on, because if we say this, then we can't say that, and then this might happen. Well, if we don't say anything at all, then they'll think it's true. Well, it is true, isn't it? Well, partly true. Well, we can't say anything. So what shall we say? Let's just say nothing. If we don't confirm anything, or if we make no comment whatsoever, then it can't be held as anything but what's on our website, saying that Doctor Who will return on Christmas Day 2026. So if we say nothing, well, won't that let the story get out of control? Well, absolutely. But we won't say anything. So that's probably the best way to say it.
And the one thing that they can't do, David, is move Christmas. That's the impossible task.
Exactly.
So if something's got to move, then it can't be Christmas. So therefore, by a process of elimination, to get something on screen. And again, this is something we've been saying from the get-go. There's still a window to get something made. Of course there is. And things change all the time. We've spoken about this before. I think the latest Doctor Who Christmas special has been filmed was something like early October time, something like that. But again, we're not going to go over all the old ground that we've been through. So we've explained how we've got to where we've got to. We're very certain, completely 100% certain of our information. And if you want to catch up on what we said before, you can go and hit up those earlier editions of the show as well. We know the situation. There's everything that the Sun have said there. Their speculation. There's no full-time lead because there's not a series commissioned yet, and there's not a series commissioned yet because there's no showrunner secured officially. So there's no schedule. It's a one-off commission, and whilst this isn't unprecedented in terms of Doctor Who, never mind general television, Charlotte, it is an unusual situation for us all to be in. So I can understand when people lose their heads.
Oh yeah, and I think all the other handovers, even when there probably was lots of things going on behind the scenes from 2005, so when we had Russell first to Moffat, Moffat to Chibnall, Chibnall to Davies, there was probably a lot of stuff that wasn't going on that they wanted, or there was things going a bit wrong, but it never got out. And it always looked on the surface very smooth. That I think some of this is, we are actually experiencing as a fandom, we're actually seeing some of the cogs not working for the first time. We're actually seeing some of the background sort of backstagey stuff, or we're getting hints of it coming to the surface. Whereas before, everything was on the surface. Here's your next showrunner. Here's your next Doctor. Let's get on. Let's get the next things filmed. And I can also see, and this is just my speculation, how they got in such a position by having an actor leave when Shooty did, not having a fill-in for him, and then having to last minute call Billy. And that's caused nothing but issues for them since they used the Billy stunt. And I can see how people now are going, yeah, but we can't do that again. We can't film a special and then in the last 2 months before it goes out, call somebody else to do a favour for us. Like, I think they've now sort of, by the process they've just gone through, I've realised how important it is to have your Doctor booked. So when you do that special, you can film one end of a regeneration and then the other end, and it can work. And some of this could be them just going, we can't get in that situation again, so we're going to have to possibly delay this, or we're going to have to possibly spend more time than we initially planned getting this made. Because a gimmick's nearly destroyed the show with Billy. We can't do another one.
It's been gimmick after gimmick after gimmick after gimmick and virtue signal after virtue signal. Bill Silver in the live chat says, if the special is made, it'll be an hour trying to unravel the tangled mess of everything that's been done over the last, I mean, he sums up pretty much the last 8 years. And whilst I don't believe that it's necessary for the special to do any of those things, I think it can be of its own thing. I think it can be self-contained and it could serve a purpose, a practical purpose. But I understand why there's a lot of appetite for the next episode to do all of this and to draw a line under a period of creative bankruptcy, ideological capture, and of immense pain and frustration for the people who've been not just been following it and watching it, but standing up for it and sort of hoping it will continue and it might get better in some way later on. I mean, are we the source of all of this? I'm not going to say 100% because I don't know 100%, but we have been before. The thrust of what is being said in the mainstream now, in the Radio Times, the Sun, the Daily Mail, the thrust of what they're saying, if not so much how they're saying it, I believe is in line with our report. The timing alone also makes me think, Gary, that it must be a distinct possibility. Why now? Because it was 2 weeks ago that this kind of went big after our report. What's your gut instinct before we move on?
Instinct about why it's happening now?
Yeah, I mean, do you think that it's likely that this comes from our information, our original report that's simply gone through the mill?
Well, I mean, this is my own opinion, considering that you had an exclusive that literally no one else on YouTube had. Yes, I do. I think it's, I don't know whether it's 100, 90%, whatever, but it's absolutely a factor because literally no one else had this, which, by the way,
not just on YouTube. I mean, in any commentary at all.
Any social media, which basically,
any commentary.
Right. Which, if you're a new viewer today, or if you are, a veteran viewer of this show, means that this is the show that you should be watching, because everything we talked about today, the media will be grabbing probably in late June. You'll hear it again, if we're talking about
viewers
it today.
Will know this is hard.
No, I think, it just takes.
Well, it's happened time after time after time.
I mean, the strength of social media, obviously, is that, you're connected instantaneously. But some things like this do take time to kind of trickle around. Somebody who maybe didn't catch it live, who maybe saw it, who knows somebody, at the Sun or one of the other things, say, hey, you know what I've heard on a podcast? Boom, you might want to kind of check this out. That kind of takes, some time to trickle down. But I think that the exclusivity of this story, I think it had to start here.
It's certainly enough for people to seek a word from people that they have on the inside, I would say. Obviously, we're going to return to this at various junctions. I feel that it's not so much the Sun's article itself as everything that's happened around it, Luke, in the last 3 or 4 days. Some of those opinion pieces, they make for tough reading, and some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. But there's a lot of, I know this could sound over the top, but there's a lot of pain in some of that writing. Rebecca Cook, in particular, at the Metro, is clearly very angry and frustrated. There's an article at the Independent too, which is very long and carefully thought out. Again, I don't agree with all of the conclusions it comes to, but the fact that people are taking stock and doing a kind of autopsy on this, it's a shame. But it just goes to show that people do care about the show.
Yeah, it used to be the crown jewel of the BBC and of British TV for years and years and years, and its slow decline has come to the forefront. And it's a very sad thing to see. Like, it's happened before and happened previously. But it's like, look, all of this would have been solved if Russell didn't get Billy in and just cut the black mid-regeneration, because then they could have just done whatever they want and no one would be in this situation. But this entire situation is actually causing me hassle, because the Christmas special of Hooligans that we are filming next month revolves around the Christmas special in 2026, right? So I now have to film 2 fucking endings because I don't know if it's going to be there or not. So they are causing me more work. So I'm not happy with that.
That's not on
at all.
That is not
on.
Look,
I'm filming mine in June, so it'll be done by September. I don't know. See, so there we go.
Can we just transmit your version instead?
Have
Yes.
it. Absolutely have it. There we go.
Sort it out, Russell. Come on, sort it out. Somebody. It's one thing to bugger up your own Christmas special. You can't do the hooligans in as well. The official word for now is still that Doctor Who will return to television on Christmas Day 2026 for this brand new standalone special written by the showrunner Russell T Davies. Will Christmas become Easter or somewhere else? We don't know yet, do we? What do you think? Let us know in the comments your thoughts about all of this, where it could go. What are the various connecting points between our report and their reports? And obviously the questions of who do you think should succeed Russell T Davies? Who would be your pick for Doctor? Chris Marshall is tied up. I think Anthony Head is probably one of taking it quite slow.
He's doing
At
the fifth
moment,
season.
I see
Yeah.
all these names for potential actors. Benjamin Davis, I'm not sure who that is. But anybody really, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Who is the name in the end credits? We will see. I think this is an ideal point to take a break, though, as always, back to 1996 again, this time to sample the ads on the night that Doctor Who the movie was Fox's main event. So prepare yourself for a parade of wrong-uns. It can only be the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break back in 1996. Enjoy.
It's been a worldwide hit for 30 years, and tonight, the sci-fi phenomenon comes to America in the Fox original movie, Doctor Who. For over 1,000 years, they've been mortal enemies. Now, these two time travelers from different worlds, I'm half human, one good, one pure evil, will face each other in a final duel to the death. And the battlefield is Earth.
This planet will be pulled inside out.
Paul McGann and Eric Roberts in the motion picture event of the year. Doctor Who on the Fox Tuesday night movie.
Do you know you put your hair at risk every time you wash it? Surprised? Hair's most fragile when it's wet. Just combing can break it. The answer? Pantene Pro V to help keep your hair strong, healthy looking, so it actually breaks less.
Pantene's the first root-penetrating pro-vitamin shampoo. It works the whole length of your hair, improving the healthy shine, helping it stay strong. Pantene Pro V. For hair so healthy, it shines.
Strong can be beautiful.
Years ago, I started an account with this bank. The next thing I know, they merged with another bank, and poof, their name disappears. Then the new bank merges with another bank, and their name disappears. Now the old bank with the new name is merging with a new bank. Look, for years, I've managed to have the same name, and I want a bank that does too. So I'm going to Citibank. I'm even going to get one of those credit cards, my picture on it. That way I'll know their name, they'll know mine, and now they'll even know my face.
Snapple wants to get something straight. We have nothing against cola. The number 1 and 2 drinks in the world are both cola.
We love cola.
So why make over 40 flavors but no cola? We figured cola was covered. Besides, we want to be number 3, which leaves us 3 to offer, with all due respect, a few other choices.
Cola.
Snapple, made from the best stuff on earth.
Still dialing 0 to call people collect? Stop. It's expensive. What to do? Dial 1-800-COLLECT. As seen on TV, dialing 1-800-COLLECT instead of 0 saves the people you call up to 44%.
Hi, Grandma.
Dial it today.
This is a Newsport, Texas News Brief. I'm Steve Eager. He's trying to polish his tarnished image abroad, but the Oxford Debating Society is casting doubt on O.J. Simpson's credibility. Tonight at 9, find out if O.J. is up to the Oxford Challenge.
Coming up tonight after Doctor Who, a heartfelt talk with the husband and father of the ValueJet pilot. Then at 10, she literally worried herself sick. See how her phobia drove her into isolation and how she's fighting fear. Watch News 4 Texas tonight.
A space for more, maybe, somewhere. This is Rumble X, Facebook, and YouTube with Type 40 Live, the past, the present, and the future of Doctor Who. Are you fed up of nostalgia yet? Was that just a little bit too much? Let us know. We are specifically spending time in 1996 this week to celebrate the 30th So the 50th then, the 30th. So too many anniversaries. The 30th anniversary of Doctor Who, the movie. So we want to know whether you've had your 4K, your Blu-ray, or your Steelbook. If it's come yet, are you saving it for the weekend? How's it going to play? If you've got something nice to eat, set aside, special biscuits to watch Doctor Who, the movie again on this brand new release, let us know. Okay, so we're back for more nostalgia, more banter, more news, more views, and everything else in between. So get the comments in. Are the panel back and present and correct? I think they're present, but they're never correct.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep, he's right.
I was including me in that. Okay, so we have Mr. David Milling, the delectable Luke Walters, the enigmatic Gary Akers, and the fabulous, the one and only Charlotte Shields. We're all here. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. Did I say that before? I might have done, I might not. I've said it quite a lot over the years. So I think now and again, I forget. But we've got a lot to talk about, lots to get into. And what did you think of the ads? Did that conjure any memories up for you there, Gary, as a Fox affiliate, a network?
Well, first of all, the Fox Tuesday night movie was never a thing. It was never a series. Gotcha. A lot of shows like ABC was like the ABC's Sunday night movie was a huge thing. But I think they just wanted to put it on Tuesday, so they do the Fox Tuesday night movie. Now, on those ads, I thought when that one ad that started from the newscaster who said, in a bid to repair his damaged reputation overseas, I thought, they were talking about Russell T Davies even back then. But no, I guess it was about OJ. So no, that was really interesting. I had not seen that Fox ad for the movie. I didn't know that they'd been fighting each other for 1,000 years.
They come from different worlds. They could have watched the film beforehand, Luke. They could have got their facts right, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, can you ever trust America?
Yeah, well, he's right. I can't argue. Luke, if you're waiting for me to argue with you on that, I am so not going to argue that.
No, I know. No.
Depends who in America.
See how much my diesel is now. Come on, sort it out, lads. Jeez.
Lance Uppercut says it was a good year, 1996. Doctor Who the movie and Star Trek First Contact. God, yeah.
I was alive then. Hey!
Proven. I don't believe it.
I
was going to show my driving license, but I don't think I should show that on the stream.
No, maybe not. So everybody on the panel, for a change, was around when Doctor Who the movie was being broadcast. That's reassuring to know. We won't expect you to remember everything, Charlotte. But
1996, I'm happy about that.
1996 was a really heady time. I'm no football fan. I'm not now. I wasn't then, but football was coming home, David, or so we thought. Skinner and Baddiel and the Lightning Seeds there with the England European Cup anthem,
World Cup,
wasn't it? That set the charts alight back then. It was extremely. I would say provocative, anthemic, I think is the phrase, and everybody got behind it. I think it was the first year we had the flags, the little tiny flags on the back of cars and sellotaped here and there. So it really did feel like a sort of a revolution in the heat of the Core Britannia era. Frank Skinner, of course, went on to appear in Doctor Who. Gary, here he was in Mummy on the Orient Express. So nearly 20 odd years later, that was.
Man.
Such a good episode.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was a brilliant episode. And what I love about Frank
too.
Skinner in that previous photo is that he demonstrates how to create a sort of like your own World Cup with a cantaloupe and a bowl of cold custard, a bucket of cold custard.
I like custard.
Yeah, I like cold custard, but not when Frank Skinner's hand's been in it. Yeah,
they did go back to that time and time again, didn't they? And Mummy on the Orient Express is a real modern classic. Now, so is Three Lions. This anthem has stood the test of time. Not so sure about Gina G, who are a little bit. Now that didn't win the Eurovision Song Contest. A lot of people think that it did. It didn't. It came 8th, but it did make the UK #1, which is in my view, is far more important, David.
It's a banger of a tune, and I still love it to this day.
Angaranga. Bangaranga.
Bangaranga is just eclipses every song. But Bangaranga is you Google Bangaranga.
I know about Bangaranga. I always fancied the one with the bobbed brown hair. She was my favourite in Bangaranga.
Cool summer.
I thought we'd take a quick look back to 1996 and see what else was going on, as people do like it when we do this. So we've been leafing through the Doctor Who diary. Well, not the Doctor Who diary, no. He has that under lock and key. A Doctor Who diary that I managed to drag out of my collection here. Now, you can see that this was before the TV movie, and so there was no new old Pertwee logo. All the iconography sort of speaks of the classic era. And on the back, you find the classic Doctors really badly designed into this sort of montage thing. I suppose you do see that now sometimes in IKEA, don't you? That way of arranging pictures. But that is awful. Whoever put that together was a big Pertwee fan. I think that's quite likely. So all of this was going on. All of that in the charts, but we in Britain, Gary, we were still waiting to see the first Mission Impossible film. It was the big movie in America this month in 1996. We didn't get it until July. We only got the theme tune, that jazzed up version of the original Mission Impossible theme. We got that to tide us over until then. In the cinema, we had to make do with Spy Hard, starring Leslie Nielsen, and this action here, Executive Decision, which I've never seen, directed by Stuart Baird and starring Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal. So yeah, we were, summer was yet to begin. Blockbuster summer was yet to begin in Britain. Have anybody seen either of these films?
I love Executive Decision. It is a great action movie.
Is it really?
Kurt Russell is fantastic. If you don't like Steven Seagal, that's even more reason to see this particular movie. And I adore the Mission Impossible franchise.
I do miss Leslie Nielsen, come to think of it, but this film was hardly one of his best. It was that sort of weird time where the Naked Gun films had wrapped up, and they still wanted him to do the same old shtick, I suppose. So there wasn't much going on at the cinema, but all of that would eventually change. The small screen was a little more interesting, David. I don't know if you remember this, because Kate Stewart, this is before she was putting a gun against the faces of strangers on beaches. She was saving lives in Bramwell, which was a sort of historical drama about it was like a medical thing. I think that she was kind of like a Marie Curie figure, wasn't she? Working in London alongside former star cop David Calder. He played her boss. But there's Gemma Redgrave in younger days, Charlotte.
Facially, she's hardly changed, has she?
Not really. No.
Does she pull a gun on anybody in this in that series?
I'd like to think someone dropped sort of like a I don't know, a waxed letter, sealed letter with a wax stamp, and she pulled out a sort of like bow and arrow or crossbow or dagger and threatened them with that. But no, I don't recall Bramwell. I do recall that this first series of first series of This Life had just finished about the trendy London
that was
lawyers.
95, 96, yeah,
with Andrew Lincoln in around this sort of time too. But I don't remember Bramwell at all.
It was a big show. It's still on the ITV networks sometimes, on ITV Extreme, and now and again turns up on ITV3 and those kind of channels. But whilst all that was happening with sort of quality drama, we were witnessing the proper birth of what we now know to be reality TV. So the BBC had a major hit with Airport, which made a star of this character for a couple of years. This guy became such a big star. Jeremy Spake. He became such a big star, David, that he ended up with a speaking role, just one scene in a James Bond movie. I think he was in The World Is Not Enough. Remember?
No, I don't remember that. I'll have to rewatch it. He didn't. He
plays himself. I'm afraid
was
so.
This was Dan? I've never heard of this. Was this kind of like Love Boat, where like guest stars come in every week and get their tickets stamped or something? Was that what the show was?
Sadly not. It was one of those fly-on-the-wall documentary shows, which were really big at the time. Okay. There was one before this called Driving School, which kind of does what it says on the tin. And then came Airport. And this was the one that the Little Britain team lampooned with their series Come Fly With Me a few years later. And Jeremy Spake, he was a a big star for a little while, like that guy Howard from the Halifax ads. Jeremy Spake apparently still works at the same airport all this time on, but that could bring back a lot of memories for people, for 90s kids. The big gadget at the time wasn't a sonic screwdriver, it was the Palm Pilot, the pocket-sized organizer, Charlotte, that's always in touch with your PC. So this is kind of the earliest example, really, of a smartphone that we have now.
Yeah, it just looks nothing like one.
Like me and Charlotte can now be quiet for like the next 20 minutes.
We can have a rest.
Yeah,
my dad had one of those.
I found these impossible to use, David. I felt that the buttons were never sensitive enough, and the screens were always glitching. So I do remember these. It's like pages. I could never get the hang of them. I was far more interested in what was going on in the toy aisle. No, I wasn't a father yet.
How could you not buy something that has a hot sync button? That'd be great. It says.
Is that like end? Is that like
no?
end
See,
sync,
look at the bottom,
better?
David. Look at the bottom. It says press the hot sync button.
Wasn't Justin Timberlake in that? But I might just mistaken.
Reminds me of my dream about Jodie Whittaker. Yes, so if anybody still has a working one of these, whack it on eBay, and you never know, you might end up with a few extra quid.
And did you have a cheese fever dream about Dawn French or Gina G back in 1996? Because of course, Jodie Whittaker's the 2026 version of the.
Well, I haven't
cheese
before, but
fever
I bloody
dream.
will now. Thanks for planting that in my head. Bloody hell! Now, I was always more interested in toys even then, and the big toy this year that people were trying to get in for Christmas, even this early in the year, was Buzz Lightyear. If you remember, they hadn't made enough of these things. Toy Story had been a massive hit movie. I think it came out in America the year before, the tail end of the year for Christmas. And then early in '96 in Britain, and it just went huge. They simply had so drastically underestimated that the market for this, there wasn't enough to keep up with demand. Buzz Lightyear kind of owned 1996. Well, it kind of co-owned it, I think, with Gina G.
Tamagotchis as well. They came out around the same time.
I bought my missus a Tamagotchi
96.
last year. Yeah. Tamagotchi.
Was this kind of like Turbo Man in that Schwarzenegger movie where everybody's like knocking each other down to buy it?
It was a lot.
Turbo time.
It was a lot like that, definitely. Of course, for Doctor Who fans in 1996, and specifically at this time, while we were waiting around for the TV movie, I think what had sort of sobered us was the loss of John Pertwee, and the fact that he was made reference to on the TV movies broadcast on BBC One. Just a few days after his passing away, it was something like 5 days. That really meant a lot to Doctor Who fans, and obviously John Pertwee had been associated with the show then for 25 years, and done so many events, met so many fans. And now and again he did have sharp words concerning the future of Doctor Who. Pertwee very famously, he believed that Doctor Who should be left to gather dust and to be consigned to TV history. But I don't think he would have begrudged the big comeback at all. I think he'd have been just as excited as Colin or Sylvester or Paul McGann or Peter Davison or even Tom Baker. That's my feeling about it. And I just thought this caption on the TV movie was pitch perfect, really. Even though I didn't see this on the night because I watched it on video. When word sort of got around that they'd done this, I thought, now I feel like I should have watched it because then I could have thought about John Pertwee and paid my respects with everybody else.
Especially as he just had, not about a couple of months earlier, his run of 6 episodes of The Ghost of End Space, which is grossly underrated, in my opinion, had just been on Radio 2. They'd transmitted the follow-up to The Paradise of Death. And that had bizarrely been brought forward a number of months, probably so it didn't clash with the TV movie. And that was transmitted February to March 1996. And dust it off if you've got a copy and give it a listen. It's not as bad as you first thought. I actually quite like The Ghost of End Space, and he was a wonderful actor.
I've got a question then. Was this the first time that like the BBC had dedicated something in memory, like as
think
part
so.
because they do it now, but I'm wondering if this was maybe just because of the unluckiness of the timing. Was this maybe the first time the BBC
Of
did
the
that?
Doctor
I don't
Who
know.
actors' personalities, yes, it was. Because generally speaking, it wasn't. It's something they do quite a lot now on everything from EastEnders to Casualty to I don't know, any crime drama that may be on. So it's quite commonplace now. But back then, they didn't really do that. Even on things like Last of the Summer Wine, sometimes the characters or actors passing, somebody who'd been in the show for years wouldn't even get mentioned on screen. So I think this is the earliest I can remember of anything like this. John Pertwee was a remarkable man in so many respects. His involvement with the entertainment industry since long before Doctor Who. So maybe that was it as well. I'm not sure. Good question. If anybody has answered that in the live chat.
It does sort of just show, like you said, how important it was for that he was, and that the fact that it was a doctor, I think, added to that. But
Corvin suggests that nostalgia isn't what it used to be. Speak for yourself, Corvin. Speak for yourself. And the real Super Doctor says, I bought the video before the broadcast. I think a lot of fans did, to tell you the truth, a great deal of fans. I was in my first year of teaching, says AFIJ. The Euro song was everywhere. Yes, it was. And Stephen Braddock remembers that we came really close to winning the Euros that year. Yeah, I remember, very vaguely sort of remember the stark realization. Then Darren Bradley he spent the TV movie day, at the Llangollen Doctor Who exhibition. And I know I said that wrong, Luke.
I put my lemon sip down just to be like, go on then. Go on, have a pop.
Doctor Who exhibition, meeting Sylvester McCoy on his final day as the incumbent Doctor. I even got a chance to sit in the Whomobile before it went into hiding for 25 years. Oh, yeah, it was in a lockup for a long time, wasn't it? Thanks for that, Darren. The Spice Girls were starting out in the charts around. That was a little later, the Spice Girls.
August, yeah.
And Lads Mags, they were big too. Yes, happy to stir memories of Lads Mags too. Of course we are. As we stare mortality and 3 decades worth of real-world history directly in the face. Yes, so a lot of these memories have been brought back to my mind in recent days because of the celebration and the reminiscing about Doctor Who, the movie, for this brand new release. And earlier on we looked at the cloister room and this fabulous model, this working model of the cloister room. There as bits of card, polystyrene, lots of glue, bonding agents and bits and pieces, craft knives and bulldog clips everywhere. I love all of this stuff. But imagine being able to walk your character options figure around the cloister room. Wouldn't that be magical? Sadly, the stars never aligned in the mid-90s. We'd have to wait, was it 10, 12 years for it all to happen, really, for Doctor Who to become that kind of brand, where those huge retailers like Toys R Us, Would-Be and The Entertainer, and I'm trying to think of other toy retailers, Hamleys still trading, all of those great big stores become consumed with Doctor Who lines of merchandise to the point where it looked like it had taken over the entire country and it would never let go.
You could even buy it in Asda and Tesco and Sainsbury's. They even stocked it. That's how mainstream it was.
Yeah. I do wonder, because as I said before, Buzz Lightyear owned 1996, sorry, and I think that nothing could really have displaced Buzz Lightyear from that, his sort of soar away success. But there was a chance that the Doctor could have measured up, could have squared up to Buzz Lightyear, at least with British kids in 1996. Now, this is Bluebird Toys. So Bluebird Toys were a long-standing British toy company, and they were responsible for such classics as the big yellow teapot, the big red fun bus, Polly Pocket, and Mighty Max, all through the 80s and the 90s. David, I mean, that side would seem to suggest that you remember some of that.
My sister had a big yellow teapot. She did. Oh, she adored it. Absolutely adored it. And you know, I once nearly killed myself tripping over it one morning, but you know, because she left it in a rather sort of inconvenient place. Yeah,
But
but
it was bright yellow. How did you miss that?
Well, it was dark, and I didn't. I'd gone downstairs to get a drink, and you know, like you do, you don't turn on all the lights because you're trying to be stealth-like. And she'd left it right in the middle of the living room walkway through to the kitchen, and I ended up creating a whole load of noise that I didn't intend to make. So yeah, I was rumbled.
Happy memories there for you, David.
Yeah,
Bluebird Toys tended to make the kind of things that I think, generally speaking, there were more girls' lines of toys or kind of preschoolers, primary school kids. So they didn't go so much into the sort of the franchises and the licensing in any kind of big way. But I definitely remember this brand, and I had to go and look them up, I had to investigate. So they were bought out by Mattel, Luke, in 1998. You know, that's a pretty big company. But before then, they had managed to secure a license to make Doctor Who toys, which had been spurred on to some degree by the possibility that TV movie could go to a full series. So they saw the potential, I suppose, how big Doctor Who had been, particularly in the 70s, and that attempt by Dapol to, I suppose, to grow it again with their Star Wars-ish range of figures. Bluebird looked to capitalize on that as well. Now, they did produce Doctor Who toys. Only one of them made it to the market, though. So some of you may recognize this. This was the Domain of the Daleks set, Charlotte. So it's on a Unicard as well, in a blister pack. And so it was a large Dalek that so you close the thing up, and there was your Dalek. You could move it around and exterminate the cat, or leave it out on the landing for David Milling to fall over. Or you could open it up, and you've got this entire play set, really, with all this activity.
Cool.
It's got like two toys in one, really, before. Gary. And if you notice on the blister pack too, there's a little fourth Doctor and Dalek, and a Dalek, sort of a Dalek arm there to move things around with. I think that's a projectile. You put that in the cannon at the.
Yeah, it's kind of like a trebuchet. You know, you just hold it back and then fling something out.
Now, this was produced, so you could buy this. You could walk Tom Baker, and notice it's Tom Baker, not Sylvester, certainly not Paul McGann. It's Tom Baker. You can sort of mooch him around there. There's an Emperor Dalek at the top, Charlotte, as seen in remembrance of the Daleks back then. And you could run a tiny Dalek down the gangway and have the Doctor sort of square off against Scarro's nastiest.
Well, the funny thing is, like, this kind of idea of it being two toys in one, and it's sort of having little compartments and things, they still do these kind of toys now. Like, I've seen kids with, like, the Star Wars equivalent, it's not current Star Wars, don't worry, folks. It's designed of the old stuff. But it's interesting that toy idea as a pure premise hasn't changed much, really. Like, to look at this, I'm thinking of Polly Pocket as well. Like the old Polly Pocket things.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There were little figures you could move around, small play sets that you could then fasten and kind of. They used to put them over their shoulder with like a satchel, didn't they? You could put it over your.
Yeah, it was like a purse, the Polly Pocket. They made them look like little purses, because I think I had some when I was growing up.
So was this actually on the market, or was this just a prototype?
It was. Because Doctor Who wasn't a big brand around then, you didn't see it everywhere. But I remember seeing these, and I do kind of regret not buying one now, because I'd totally forgotten.
Wasn't there a Cyberman one as well? Or am I making that up?
Well, there wasn't.
But
we stared into the Eye of Harmony here, just for you. This all comes to us. We've got some images here that have been dragged out of the vortex, courtesy of friend of the show, a long-time supporter and former comic and toy shop owner, Darren Bradley. So he's got out of his archives some delights from trade catalogues from 1996 and 1997 that should have, been toys that swept the nation, maybe even the world. And one of them, it's funny you should mention that, was a Cyberman equivalent. Here it is. Here is the
Oh my
Cyberman
word!
headset. This is unseen out of trade catalogues from the 1990s. Very, very small images, but you can pick out the detail. A fabulous Cyberman head. And although we can't see what is in the compartment when it closes up, it would have acted kind of like Charlotte was saying, another one of those sort of carry case formats with a little.
I think you
Cyberman
open it up and like bits of Adric fall out.
Yeah. So they made these as prototypes and as concepts that were never released.
Amazing.
The market.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it.
And I love it's like Peter Davidson era design, isn't it?
Yeah. It's amazing.
I'd like to think you could have bought. Do you remember those the army figures, David? You could buy them in bags. You could buy a bag of Cybermen, and you could kind of see how many you could pack inside something like that.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Brilliant.
Oh,
yeah,
I
love
would have bought that.
And why did this not go forward?
Well, we'll come to that. I think it'll become quite obvious why as we make our way through. So that is the Cyberman. That's the Cyberman head. There was also these smaller assortments there. So we've got a Doctor figure, a TARDIS, a K9, and a Dalek, a figure collection. Now we did see some of these eventually. So die-cast metal figures of a similar nature did eventually appear. There was one of Patrick Troughton's Doctor, certainly, but I never saw any all carded together like this. So this is a concept illustration of something that they wanted to bring to the market. But obviously, at the time, most of these characters were kind of becoming familiar, more so from UK gold repeats and the VHS market. That would have been how they'd have looked at Doctor Who's history and decided, okay, what could we include in something that people would potentially buy. I'm not so sure I would have. Whether it had been, it would likely have been die-cast metal again, I would say. But we've seen this kind of thing, and you get them as Christmas decorations and whatnot now. And there's not as much playability with this sort of thing, but you'd be surprised how much joy that they can bring.
Again,
yeah, you have your own adventures. Yeah.
As long as they weren't painted with lead paint, that'd be absolutely brilliant.
You'd be all right. Yeah, you'd be okay. Yeah. We've got more here. So yeah, in the mid-noughties, of course, the prediction of every kid in the country having a sonic screwdriver that Russell T Davies had talked about, a toy sonic screwdriver, that still seemed quite far-fetched, but it did happen, and the sonic screwdrivers became incredibly successful, popular toys with kids for a number of years through several different models. But Bluebird tried to do it 10, 11 years earlier. Here is their concept for their sonic screwdriver, which they were looking to bring to the market in the mid-90s, tied into the Paul McGann TV movie, David. So it's got that kind of, it's quite generic, I suppose you could say. It almost looks lightsaber-esque with the barrel, but it does boast amazing light and sound action. And you could also, if you weren't sure, you got to try before you buy and give it a little press through the blister pack there. So
that's cool.
I love that.
I love
we
you.
were robbed. Well, they were robbed. I was an adult. I was an adult by this time. I was going in pubs and things, but kids were robbed. It could have all happened 10 years before, Charlotte.
Well, yeah, because it's like you said, like the sonic screwdriver, that was one of the first things in 2005 that really took off. And even those little figures you showed before, it made me think of now how popular people have like the badges of like the old Doctors, like the little badges they wear, or the little figures of all the past Doctors. So it's sort of, Doctor Who's got this uncanny ability that an idea that's in one era, whether that's like a toy idea or something else, seems to always come back, doesn't it? In some way, like it's sort of very circular in some ways. So it's lovely to see, like I said, these concepts that they were thought about in the 90s, and then it became a thing later on.
Became the thing. Yeah, it's a shame that they were never produced. I recognise the TARDIS illustration. I think that could be the same illustration that was used on the old TARDIS tin that the Trial of a Time Lord came in. It looks like it was painted by Andrew Skilleter, Gary.
I'm trying to like see what's in the window. It looks like there's some kind of like photo behind, or art behind the window. But
could be. I think it's Sylvester McCoy taking a whiz. I'm not sure.
Or as long as it's not that Peter Davison coin box, as long as it's not that.
So Bluebird were way ahead of Eagle Moss, says Stephen Brady. Oh yes, that's the brand, isn't it? That does the cast metals now.
Yeah.
Insulin injector, says Matthew Pound, who thinks it looks like an injector.
What, an EpiPen as well.
AFJ says, do you remember the lead figures that were produced in the 80s? I've got 2 doctors, and yes, everybody remembers those. The model sets, we've talked about those before, haven't we? Lance loves the chrome look, and Stephen says, I'd have definitely have bought this if they'd have produced it. There was more. There is more. Looking back to the cloister room, and this is why I've been wondering about the cloister room, because we look at this set now, and as I say, it's got more detail than I think we were initially aware, due in no small part to the remastering that's been done on it for this brand new release. And we can see more of the little corners of the production design, how beautiful it was. But it also serves, doesn't it, as the background for the final third of much of the action in Doctor Who the movie, where the Doctor and the Master go, Mano, oh Mano, well, Time Lordo, oh Time Lordo, for a final showdown. Which, imagine if you were a kid and you'd watch that and you wanted to sort of restage that fight afterwards, but you'd got no character options toys to live it all out again with. But Bluebird had thought of that as well, and they produced this set, this twin set of figures here. This was another concept, a Doctor and a Master, Paul McGann and Eric Roberts. Now, Eric Roberts looks more like the bloke out of Lazy Town, I'll give you that. But
Peter Mandelson, really. It's a sort of mid-90s Peter Mandelson look, I'd rather say.
Yeah, the Dark Lord himself. So, and here they are about to go at it together. The Doctor's got his sonic screwdriver there. And what these remind me of, Luke, and you must have seen these as a wrestling fan, the chunky, squat wrestling figures. Long before Mattel had the wrestling figures, there was lots of them that came out in the 90s. You got them in big bags, and they were all very thick and squat like that. And this was kind of the trend at the time in the mid 90s.
Yeah, the old Hasbro wrestling figures, which are now like hugely collectible, especially the Kamala one that has a different. I think it has not a half moon, has a star on the stomach. So if anyone finds it, you're in for a pretty penny. Go sell it to Matt Cardona. So there you go.
Kamala Harris action figure. Bloody hell.
No, Kamala. Did I say Kamala Harris?
No, I didn't. The only person I know called Kamala. Good grief, says Bill Silver. People are loving this. And AJ says he looks like Jafar from The Lion King. Yes, you're right. He does.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Fabulous. Paul is very light-haired in this. He sort of looks like a shaven BG.
It's almost like a bit of a Dr. Snuggles look, if you know what I mean.
That's kind of like he's a karaoke.
I was about to say that Sonic looks like a microphone. So
Yeah, he's
like
doing
he's
a
about to
karaoke.
give a rendition.
But again, I mean, imagine having these on your desk at college or university or at work with a bit of blue tack on the bottom so they didn't fall over, and you could just sort of restage that fight in the cloister room to your heart's content. Oh, what we could have won, what we could have had. You could have gone at it on the Arth there with your little action figures. They thought of that though. They knew that parents would probably be driven mad by those little figures, and they'd probably fall over them, trip on them, step on them, or whatever. So looking again to the Polly Pocket line, the idea was that the 2 tiny Time Lords would have a home. And so they gave them a TARDIS. This was I mean, how used are we now to seeing TARDISes made by character options? They're beautifully done. I know they're very proud of them. Again, very collectible. This was Bluebird's equivalent from all the way back in 1996. They're so obviously based on the TV movie version. But isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, I love the purple.
Simply
The CBeebies animation wouldn't do too badly to adopt this kind of like purple thing with a little blue and yellow light at the top. This is actually great.
I think it's the color that when they use different kinds of plastic that are treated with different paints, and sealants, they go different shades of various colors, and sometimes they can control them and sometimes they can't. Obviously now, 30 years on, you can do better now. We know more about plastic and we know more about texture, and there's different sort of processes and things for making quality collectible toys. But this was the 1996 equivalent, unseen for 30 years. We get a closer look at the contraption there. We notice there is a line through the middle and a hinge on the top. That can't be right. So how big was this TARDIS, you could be wondering? Here are the two tiny Time Lords there. So that's how big this would have been in relation to the Master and Doctor figure. And when you open it up, check it out, what it becomes, an entire play set of the cluster room there.
Whoa.
Cool.
You can really
the finale fantastic.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
We have a TARDIS console, a top there for the, and obviously this being a concept, a working concept, it's shy of detail. They would have worked that in afterwards. This is to show how the plastic technologists, how it would fold out, roll out, and snap in. So you get an idea of the playability of it, and the way that you described earlier on, where the Doctor and the Master can run up and down the stairs and things like that. And I suppose there could have been other things above, but to include the console as well, that you could sort of flip over the top. I'm not quite sure how this comes together, Charlotte, but I'm sure that it does, because this was Bluebird's thing.
I know it was, and I can remember, like I said, with the Polly Pockets, the first couple of times when you open the things, it was your parents that put it back together afterwards. It was not you. But like you said, even though it hasn't got clearly like all the detail, just to have so much of a proper set recreated, that's really impressive.
Yeah, nice.
And considering like nowadays we don't get stuff like that, like that's really going out of your way to make a quality product there, isn't it?
People are loving this in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. It's beautiful, says Stephen Braddock. Dear Santa, says Peter Harrington. Dear Santa, you got to put your age on the bottom as well, Peter. Nope, says Matthew Pounder. Oh, no takers from Matt. Dear me.
Oh, come on, Matt.
I was about to say, hey, character options if you're watching, but then I realized it would probably be like, 300 pounds and unavailable after like 2 hours because it would be sold out.
Oh, and Gary, it would be an online exclusive.
Yeah, there you go.
Character options should do a Doctor Who movie figure set, suggests Nicholas Horton. I think they can't because of the licensing and Universal again. That would be my guess, Gary.
I mean, the McGann micro figure I think is really cool. I think they got the look right, the colors right. The hair color's a bit off, but I think they got the McGann image right. And no, I love this.
People are loving this. Where can you order this model, says Ezra Goldstein. These are working concepts for action figures and for play sets that didn't make it to market. These were things that Bluebird wanted to release after the glorious success of the TV movie and the series that it would spawn, and the resurgence of interest in Doctor Who. So they believed in it in the same way that Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat and various other people would believe in it too. You could restage all of the action potentially there, time after time after time. I mean, sometimes the Master could win, couldn't he? That's the beauty of it with these playsets. But so much fun, a great deal of playability. I know that I'd have loved this. I think I'd have found it difficult to resist this. It's one thing to not buy yet another Dalek, but this I probably would have gone for this, Gary. You too?
I'm thinking, you remember like when we were kids, they used to have like at Christmas time, they would come out with the little kind of like diorama thing. You'd have to punch out things and fold things. Like build something like that kind of multi-layered look out of like, punching, manipulating the cardboard and the punch out, but it would all still be one thing. That's what that kind of reminded me of. I mean, it probably would have been prohibitively expensive to do it as like the full-on plastic model, but it's kind of like a, cardboard reinforced thing where you could kind of like punch it out and build it on your own. Maybe that would have worked.
See, Universal own the rights to key aspects of the TV movie, of the production design. Now, this is something we've been over time and time again. There's a similar situation with various other properties that, again, I'm not going to go over old ground, but we know that, for example, Big Finish can't use Dr. Grace Holloway or Chang Li. The look of characters that can't be used in action figure form for whatever reason. The Eighth Doctor seems to have made it through. I think it's because the BBC own the Doctor, whereby other characters and situations, versions of things are seen as Universal's intellectual property. And I don't know how much they're worth to Universal now, 30 years on, but they still hang on to them. So there we are, the Doctor and the Master going at it in mini kind of wrestling form there from the mid-90s. Absolutely brilliant. There would be a rematch eventually for the Doctor and the Master on Big Finish. This was last year. Eric Roberts and Paul McGann did go at it again together in this release from the Dark Gallifrey range, Master Part 3 by Lizzie Hopley. I've not heard this one. I think they should have made a bigger deal of it, though. I think this should have been like a big event thing in its own right. Somehow,
I haven't listened to this, although I'd love to. The climax doesn't take place in a walk-in tub, does it?
I'll be disappointed.
I get that reference.
Yes, maybe. Nick, are you listening? We need to know. And if there is a sequel, you know what you can do. So yes, we could have played out the action again. Oh dear, we could have played it all out with those fabulous toys there from Bluebird in the mid-90s. Had things gone their way, I mean, obviously, if the TV movie had become a series, Charlotte, we never would have had the new series, and Bluebird would have probably been snapped up by Mattel anyway. So yeah, I think things worked out generally for the best. But what a shame, and what a blast from the past. And how illustrative that is of how far toys have come.
Yeah, but it's lovely to sort of see how this new version of Doctor Who, as it was then, or this sort of reinvention of it then, there was still that appetite. Clearly, Bluebird. This seems to be like, this would have been like a launch for them, like a big range that they eventually would have filled up with, and these were just the starting bits of it. But you say how much toys have changed. I think the core of toys still is exciting for a child, like you said, to reenact with. Is it still, can you have a scene on a TV and then do it yourself? I think that's always going to be the core of the appeal of these things.
Doctor Who the movie obviously has been back in the news this week, back in everybody's Blu-ray 4K players. I think it's been fabulous to see this thing celebrated so universally. Aspects of it kind of debated in a way that I've not seen before, because there's no way of getting around the fact that for a long time this production was seen as a sort of heresy, and I think we've got it in check now. I think we can look back at the decisions that were made and understand why they were made and enjoy it for its own entertainment value, Luke. I think it is, like most Doctor Who, it's a snapshot of the era that it was made in.
Yeah, you can see Paul McGann's wig very clearly in some shots. It's great. It's just what I want. But yeah, I watched it and I was like a kid at Christmas. I think it's outside of Jodie's era. I think it's probably the best Doctor Who's ever looked. I was like, wow, this is, and the TARDIS looks amazing. Paul McGann is
it doesn't look 30 years old. It doesn't look, I mean, even in standard definition, it still looks pretty good. It doesn't look 30 years old. It doesn't, for example, when I was watching VHS tapes coming out from the 60s era, Tomb of the Cybermen, the Aztecs, all that kind of thing, in the 90s, they looked really old. They looked 30 years old. But looking back at this now, obviously, yeah, the fashions are the fashions. But other than that, I think this has got a next to timeless appeal to it, strangely enough.
Yeah, massively. It very much does have that American, like, Hallmark movie. Like, in some bits, I was looking at the sets and I was like, this reminds me of like Ivan Ooze and the Power Rangers for some reason. I was like, just the way it's shot, and I was like, this is great though. I'm all for it. But yeah, everyone's on top form. Like Eric Roberts is. For me, it was such a joy watching him. It's such a joy watching him. And Paul McGann is brilliant. Paul McGann is absolutely fantastic.
He was universally accepted as the Doctor back then, Luke. You know, it was the same then as it is now, and that hunger for a full run, that's never gone away. In some ways, I think it's a shame, but I think Paul probably. I think he's generally speaking probably quite happy with how it worked out. I'm not sure yet.
He's done all right over it, isn't he?
I think he's done okay out
really well.
of 3 weeks' work, David.
Okay.
Absolutely, I said it again. I said it twice on Monday. For a lot of people, Paul McGann is the ultimate Doctor, and I stick by that claim. He has done very, very well out of it. He's had 25 years worth of Big Finish audio as this Doctor. And he's celebrated a quarter of a century of that, and I just think he just nailed the role from start.
Yep.
As soon as he started, and he is one of the few Doctors who's ever managed to do that, and he just nailed it, absolutely nailed it, 100%, and he's just added to that ever since, and I would love to see him in a Christmas special on Christmas Day 2026.
Oh, this will be reported in the Sun tomorrow. Cheers, David.
Yeah, I would love. You know, he could be on a ride.
You heard it here first, everybody.
He could be ride out the TARDIS on a sort of like Mount View ride on lawnmower or a Honda.
There you go.
Keep the dream alive. It would be all my Christmases at once. Yeah.
So yes, this has been all in celebration of Doctor Who the movie, available now in stores wherever you are. Bricks and mortar stores, you can pick up the 4K and the Blu-ray. It could be like old times. You can turn up at midnight, but I don't think they'd let you in. I think your best bet is to go after 10 in the morning, particularly at the weekends, and pick up your copy there, whichever one you're going to get. There's the Steelbook too, that very lavish Steelbook edition. Generally speaking, I don't do Steelbooks. I couldn't resist this though. 3 discs worth of fabulous content, a booklet, that beautiful packaging. My God, look, it's 30 years. It's Doctor Who the movie. How could I not? We'll doubtless come back to this at some point in the next few months, I dare say, because 1996, that went on all year. There's no reason why our celebration of Doctor Who the movie and the 8th Doctor, that can't continue, if not all year, then certainly for a little while longer. Let us know what you think there in the live chat.
Hello, this is Sue Molden. On behalf of the team, I'd like to say how overwhelmed and extremely grateful we are to everyone who has donated so far. The response has been magnificent, and we are especially grateful to those who have pledged regular donations. A big thank you from all of us at Film is Fabulous.
There's my mate Sue.
She's like, thanks for the donations, but stop fucking emailing us asking about it.
Gary said that, both Sue and I have the same sort of diction.
She sounds just like you.
Oh my God, that was well close. That was so good.
Hello.
I think there's actually, Dan, this will be your next big investigation because you have such a good track record. I think there might be like a Mrs. Doubtfire thing going on with David Milling and Sue Malden. I've never seen them in the same place.
No, absolutely not. I can safely say that Sue and I have never been spotted together. And I will, and that's why Sue's only available on weekends. If you see what I mean.
That's right. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Things in the live chat, things are kicking off. Touch grass and then smoke it. Suggests Ezra Goldstein. Okay. Whatever it works. If it works for you, I love the movie in '96, and I still do. Paul is excellent, and it's never looked so good, says Stephen Braddock. And Peter Harrington says there's some ridiculous prices on eBay. Yeah. It's going from scalpers. We're talking about the Steelbook and the Blu-ray and the 4K. I've seen people buying them up because the Steelbook sold out, didn't it? Instantly. Dear God, yeah, it's terrible. What else have we got? More comments about Paul McGann, about Night of the Doctor, about Day of the Doctor, all that stuff. We talked about most of those things in six years of Type 40 Live and nearly 9 years of Type 40. We can talk about some of it again Why not? Particularly with fresh angles, fresh voices, fresh viewpoints to consider, and obviously more years on the clock with more hindsight. That never goes amiss. Hindsight is a very fabulous thing, Charlotte.
Yeah, and I think just to talk to what Paul, the special sort of why Paul is so special, I think it's because of that missed potential in some ways. So whenever he does pop up, even in, like I remember in The Power of the Doctor, for example, like when they shuffled through the Doctor in that scene, loads of people afterwards were just talking about Paul's stuff a little bit, and he's got that magical quality, and I think this year there's lots of, I said to you backstage, what's been lovely is certain figures from either classic or Paul, I think for some people is classic but not, but he's from that time. They're becoming the ambassadors now for this show. They're the ones who are sort of carrying the torch. And it's just lovely that they can be celebrated. They can be sort of given this new light in some ways. And that's just, if for all the rubbish we've had, that's what's sort of got me through this year with Doctor Who, just enjoying people who have sort of been to the side a little bit becoming front and centre. But
there's always something new to discover, Charlotte. We'll see you again next time. You're gonna go and dream of having your own TARDIS playset with your own little master.
Well,
and
I'd rather have that
Doctor.
dream than yours, Dan. But I'm not gonna lie, Paul McGann wouldn't be missed in my dreams. I'll happily say that.
Yeah.
So I will see you.
Would you let him call you Chuck?
And would you
with
be in
that
a
Scouse accent, of course.
would you be in a
Why
pair of
wouldn't I?
dungarees? Would you be wearing dungarees?
On a lawnmower.
No, that's David's dream is the lawnmower.
Yeah, that's David's realm. That's David's realm, not mine. But it's been lovely,
dear.
and I will see you all next week.
No, it's
Love on a lawnmower.
No.
Huge thanks to our friend, long-time friend and supporter, Darren Bradley, for those fabulous pictures there from the Blue Boy. The Blue Boy,
Wonderful stuff.
From the Bluebird toy line that we never had. Even if it is kind of heartbreaking, it's good to see this stuff. It's good to see this stuff anyway. Let us know what you think. That's after you finished writing to Santa and writing to, I don't know, to the High Council of the Time Lords to turn back time and go and persuade Baby Bird. Was it Baby Bird? Bluebird. Baby Bird were a band from 1996. God.
Oh God,
I'm
I hate
adult.
that song.
Because
Please don't.
Oh,
I know what Paul is saying to Sylvester here.
Go on.
He's saying, "I've just been in one of Eric's walk-in baths. I really recommend it."
It'll do wonders for your farmer Giles. So
Yeah.
I think he's suggesting that Sylvester supports Film is Fabulous. There's a link in the description of every edition of Type 40 and Type 40 Live. So support Film is Fabulous, of course, if you can, and get in touch with us. Usual places, Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. Come and join us in the Type 40 Facebook group if you dare. This week we've been all over the TV movie as well as everything else. We never seem to know what decade it is in there anyway. It's all of Doctor Who all the time, in real time, and you can even start a fight if you get bored. It's all fine. It's all fine. We'll let the AI moderators handle all the rough stuff there in the Type 40 Facebook group. So get stuck in by all means. You can send us some feedback if you wish through SpeakPipe as well if you prefer to talk it. And why not? Heaven knows where the rest of the year's going to go. Doctor Who will return. We are reassured, and we've got this brand new treatment of the classic logo, the refreshed classic logo from 3 years ago, given another refresh to sort of wash it clean of the shit that they've put it through in recent years. But we're hanging on in there anyway. More coverage. We're in it till the bitter end, everybody, now. Come on. There could be only one more episode left. We may as well see it through. In the meantime, catch up with what we've said about all the rest of them through our playlists here on the YouTube and Rumble channels. So there's our news reports, there's our deep dives, there's our special reports, long-form reports on exclusive information, and those celebrations too of classic stories and doctors and producers and directors, whether it's the new series or the classic series, all there in the playlists. Knock yourselves out. Type 40 podcast, podcatchers of your choice there, Audible, Spotify, all those places, or our home feed at type40.podbean.com. Did I say donate to Film is Fabulous. I think I did. I think we got that covered. But it doesn't do any harm to mention it again. The link is in the description. And happy weekend. If you've been saving yours to open for the weekend, if you hope it's going to get a bit cooler, so you can concentrate on the telly a little bit more. And rewatching the TV movie for its 30th anniversary, of course, knock yourselves out. What a great week! I've loved talking about the TV movie. I mean, we did a long form discussion on the last live stream, Luke, and I still felt there was so much left unsaid. So we can always come back to this at a later date. That's the joy of it, and I think the transatlantic appeal. I know some Doctor Who fans feel that it dogs this, that it drags it down. I just think it gives this its own kind of unique flavour.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the widescreen version on the Wilderness Years collector's set. That's all I'm waiting for.
Never happy, are we? Never happy.
That's all I'm waiting for, man. That's all I'm waiting for. That's all I want.
How do you think they'll get around the problem of the odd boom mic in various corners? Do you think that can all be dealt with now with AI and things?
Yeah, it's going to be AI, isn't it? Nah, I don't know. Yeah, but apart from that, the movie's brilliant, and it's nice to see fandom be. I've noticed my hair's getting wilder and wilder the longer this live stream. They're a podcast then, Dan.
It's turning into a Prime Ward.
Yeah, I forgot you're not feeling very well, are you?
I am rough as tits. I'm so bad.
Mate, I hope you recover in time for your birthday. Thank you for making it for this one, pal. I know what it's like when you're feeling under the weather and you're doing this stuff. So thank you. We have the TV movie was okay for the most part, says Ezra Goldstein. A tough crowd. And Nicholas says that Paul McGann should have had a bigger part in the 50th. Oh, don't open up that one again. My God. Me and Ian really got into that on the day of the Doctor review, didn't we? Oh, we can. We can get proper handbags when we now and again. Here come the lawnmowers, says Stephen Braddock.
Yeah, boy.
Yes. And
is there such a thing as a Type 40 lawnmower? Is there such a thing?
Not yet, but
it's in David's garage.
Bluebird. Obviously, the people from Bluebird have retired, but I dare say if they want to keep their hand in, they could get us a playset. Type 40.
Garbage does AI videos, doesn't he? If I remember rightly.
What's that, mate?
Garbage does AI videos. He done it before, didn't he? If I remember right.
Yeah. Right. Do androids dream of electric lawnmowers?
Yeah. Let's see for the next cutaway on Type 40. David on a lawnmower.
I want to see an AI of David dressed like Sue Malden on a lawnmower just driving by the screen.
Gary, I'll send you that video later, all right?
Wow. Oh, please.
For a donation to Film is Fabulous, there's good news. Film is Fabulous found an old episode of Late Night Horror. Yes, we are keeping tabs on everything that Film is Fabulous is doing. And stay tuned. Stay tuned, Lance, and anybody else who's interested in the stuff outside of the TARDIS in that respect. I got the steelbook, says Ian Scales, very excitedly.
Well,
I could tell that by his emoji face, his little emoji face. And there's lots more speculation there too. 8 is my lucky number, says Tom from T12 Productions. Good to see you, Tom. Love those Cybermen you popped in the Facebook group. Thank you. Good evening, says Vincent Spencer. Good evening, Vincent. Welcome aboard. You've missed the bulk of it. The good news is you can shuffle back like a proper time traveller, and you'll get to see earlier versions of us, younger versions by about 2 hours of us going over everything that you missed. So that's the great news. Okay.
And
Matthew Pounds
Luke's hair was completely flat.
Chuck. Thank you, Matthew Pounder, for that. Oh, it's like staring into the eye of harmony. Dear me. Okay. Thank you again, Darren Bradley, for the pictures, those exclusive images, and for Charlotte Shields too, and her contributions and indulgence with all our nonsense. I mean, usually it's like she must feel like she's back at playtime with the kids most weeks, but seeing us goof out about toys is even more so, bless her heart. So I really do owe her one. In fact, I will probably owe 2 or 3. So there we are. She'll be back next week, amazingly. Luke, I hope you feel better, mate. Sincerely, happy birthday. Oh, God.
Happy birthday, Luke.
Happy birthday, Gary.
Oh,
we made it, Luke, we made it around the sun once again.
I know. What a shame.
To disappear into the eye of harmony, though, Gary, that's the sad fact. I mean, I hope you have a great birthday as well.
No,
stay healthy.
It's great. And you know what? Anybody who didn't watch our Monday kind of love fest reminiscence about the TV movie, please go back and watch. It was a fantastic stream. So
Yes.
please treat yourself to that after you've opened your steelbook.
And you'll see a
Perfect
very
accompaniment.
hot. You'll see a very hot me trying to deal with the heat, which was just unbearable.
That's right.
He really was struggling, wasn't he?
I was so struggling.
He took
Thank
off
you for
various
making it through
articles
that
of
one.
clothing during the stream.
Thank you for making it through that one, and for doing double duty with us as well, David. I hope you've got a great weekend planned, a cool weekend. I'm assured that the rain, proper rain, because there was a storm in the night, but we were all asleep, so we missed it.
Yeah.
But the proper rain is coming, and that the pressure will be relieved. But oh no, that's that bloody Jodie Whittaker dream again. Okay, okay. The heat wave will break sooner or later, everybody. So hang on in there. In the meantime, lots to rewatch with us, and we'll see you in the comments. We'll be back for more next time. The usual rants and raves. All opinions are valid here at Type 40 Live, but we can't apologise for celebrating the TV movie all over again. It means the world to us, warts and all. So if not now, then when? We'll be back next time with more of this and that. But until then, we always have the time. If you have the space at Type 40, have a great weekend. Rewatch your 4K, your Blu-ray, your Steelbook. Bye-bye.
Go Al.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Duggan.
Happy birthday, lads.